Well, good evening to everybody. Happy Saturday as Spidey from the Behavior Arts just starts dancing to his own music that he
The
plays often
chaos
in
in
his
my
head.
head.
Hello to all of you that are joining this live stream. I am Rob from the channel Law and Lumber. Next to me is a good friend of mine, Spidey from the channel The Behavioral Arts. So a little programming note, you guys are catching this and you're watching this live. If you are watching it live, or if you're catching the replay crew, we love the replay crew. You're going to be able to watch this on both of our channels simultaneously. This is being broadcast at the same time to both channels. And I have the chat over here on the right-hand side of my screen that's essentially pulled up from both channels feeding in the
Both
web chat.
channels. This is
Yep.
wild. This is crazy, dude. We've come such a long way from our humble beginnings.
You mean recording at like 1 o'clock in the morning and trying to scrap together a video?
Unbelievable, man. I wish you guys, like, I wish. Hello, by the way, everyone. Hi, Rob's crew. Hi, my crew. Yeah, the way Rob and I met was just insane. Like, it was during the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial. And like, I was on tour. My performance tour. And I was coming home after, like, there was one where the only time we could schedule was after one of my shows. So I came back after a show. It was midnight. We started filming. And then at 2 a.m., we realized that I never hit record. And I started crying, physically, literally crying. And you go, Spidey, take a sec, go, just go decompress and then come back and we're restarting. And I was so thankful for that. And the video did great, but I was so thankful that I was like, this guy's a real one. This guy's a real one.
Yeah. So every now and then when we have a court case where I have testimony that overlaps, Spidey and I get together and we hang out for a little bit and we give very serious analysis to the testimony and evidence being presented. And sometimes there's a little bit of humor in some of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and today we've got a case that one particular witness has been a big focal point of this case.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Rob, do you want to introduce
on
ourselves to, like, because, I have some of my people in here. You have some of yours. So do you want to introduce ourselves?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. You start off.
No,
What
you
you
start.
mean? You're the channel with almost a million people.
Yeah, but you're the host.
Oh, fine. Hi, my name is Rob. I'm from the channel Law and Lumber. I'm a practicing domestic relations litigation attorney, and I have been a practicing attorney for more than 10 years. I practice in the area of domestic relations litigation, so that means I am a trial attorney. I am in court litigating cases as part of my daily life. As a part-time job, I also do woodworking, and as a second part-time job, I also do YouTube content, breaking down and analyzing legal cases and things that are of significance going on in court.
Wow. Awesome. Very
Spidey.
humble. Very humble.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Spidey.
Hi, I'm Spidey. Academically, my background is in sociology and psychology. My degrees are in sociology and psychology. I have certifications in body language analysis and criminal interrogation. But my main thing is that for 20 years now, and it's hard to say that, 20 years. For 20 years now, I have been a touring mentalist on TV and stages all over the world. And for those who don't know what mentalism is, it's a form of magic, like it's entertainment, but we use a lot of psychology, a lot of trickery, for sure, a lot of trickery. A lot of people think mentalism is all psychology. That's completely false. A lot of trickery and some psychology to make it seem like we can read people. So a big part of what I do is cold reading, which is like bring people up on stage and start telling them things about themselves. I'm just playing off things I can observe, the way they behave, the way they communicate. And I apply a lot of what I've learned in, with my degree, with my certifications into that, and then back into analyzing a lot of popular cases and news stories and celebrity news on my channel, The Behavioral Arts. So welcome to all my members. Welcome to Rob's members. Happy to be here and excited to jump in.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of your members, we've got one of your members that popped in to say hi. Super excited to see it live with Spidey and Rob. Thank you, Michaela-ish.
See, I have members too, Rob. I don't do live streams, but I have members because we cool at The Behavioral Arts.
AKA the cat lady joined in. I'm going to catch up on super chats along the way, but I really wanted to get into some of the analysis of this case. Now, Spidey, you haven't been covering this case. I know that because you and I had quite the discussion where I was breaking down the case for you and kind of where things stand. I figured that several people that follow your channel probably don't as well. So I was going to give a background of the case if you don't mind.
Please, would love that.
Okay, so the case that we're talking about today is the case of Jack Kowalski, et cetera, et al. Versus Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital. Jack Kowalski, etc. That is going to be Jack Kowalski, his daughter Maya Kowalski, his son Kyle Kowalski, and the estate of his late wife Beata Kowalski. They have brought an action against Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital, JHATCH for short, relating to treatment that occurred in regards to their daughter, Maya Kowalski, who presented to the hospital on October 7th of 2016 at the age of 10. She presented with acute stomach pain. She had a prior diagnosis the previous year of CRPS, complex regional pain syndrome. And part of that diagnosis was a resulting treatment that involved ketamine at high levels throughout the year of 2015 up until 2016. At 2016, after she was admitted to the hospital was taking medical histories, learned of the ketamine use, learned of different things that were giving them some concern, and started developing that concern that this might not be CRPS, but might instead be something such as conversion disorder, factitious disorder imposed on another, or Munchausen's symptoms or Munchausen's syndrome by proxy. Phone calls were made, discussions were had between individuals within the hospital system that resulted in Sally Smith, Dr. Sally Smith, this is the subject of today's video, who was a contracted agent via the Florida Department of Children and Families, who contracted out to a child protection team. She was the medical director of that child protection team, as she will remind you repeatedly through her deposition and testimony. So while she was a member of the child protection team, she also had staff privileges at JHATCH. So in the early parts of the case, while they were admitted, but before any action was taken by the court, Ms. Smith, Dr. Smith, was contacted by a person at the hospital, Dr. Tepa Sanchez, who was Maya's then treating physician in the intensive care unit. Tepa Sanchez consulted with Dr. Smith, who then reviewed Maya's medical records via access of her staff privileges before any investigation had begun. They then began making phone calls to the Child Protective Services, or the hotline, to try and initiate an investigation. That investigation ends up being initiated finally after, I think, one unsuccessful call and a second that was successful. The investigation resulted in a report being filed with the court that actually ended up with Maya being placed under a shelter order. She was removed from the custody and care of her parents and sheltered at the hospital, subject to the court's jurisdiction. A lot of the cases focused on the things that have taken place, whether by the hospital or third parties, that was conducted either in compliance with court orders or was outside the scope and power of what the court delegated to the hospital to do. Unfortunately, this case has a very tragic end to it, in that on January 6th, after a lot of litigation and trying to regain access to their daughter, at a final hearing, mom and daughter were not allowed to have contact or see each other at that particular hearing. And on the very next day, the mother, Beata Kowalski, unfortunately took her own life. About a month and a half later, Maya Kowalski was discharged from the hospital back into the care of her father, and we have this resulting lawsuit that is filed for $220 million against the hospital. This case has been litigated for the past 5 years, going up to the appellate court and coming back down on several issues, basically immunity being the primary issue. Whether the hospital is immune because the conduct they were engaging in was conduct protected as serving an executive function of the Department of Children and Families. That issue is one that we end up dancing along the lines of throughout the entire litigation. A big question in this case turns on whether Sally Smith is an agent of the hospital, an apparent agent of the hospital, or is herself an independent actor. So, because this case involves sensitive material, as I've been discussing throughout my recaps of this, I have a running banner that I throw up so that people who join late, or people who are catching any of the analysis midstream, are able to see that we're talking about sensitive family issues and mental health. I also have a repeat request of the chat. While we're able to analyze and discuss the testimony of these individuals, their behaviors, we do not tolerate here. I don't tolerate people name calling, going into strictly personal attacks. We can address the testimony, we can address the credibility, but addressing the person and personal attacks, that's going to get you in trouble with the mods. To the mods that are in the chat, I thank you all. Thank you very much for continuing to moderate these streams, because I have asked extra duty of you. And that's kind of a recap to where we are today. So, any questions? Did I leave anything out, Spidey?
No, dude, that was excellent. And part of the reason why you're one of the YouTubers I love working with the most, because there was no bias in that entire recap. You just recapped the facts like a champ. That was incredible.
Thank you. I've tried to be really careful in that. Look, you have 10 more members. Thank you, Michaela Ish.
Whoa, what?
Yeah, got
That's
gifted membership.
amazing. Oh, how does that work? what just
That's
happened?
that's for a different day, my friend. Spidey, while he has a channel,
What
that's
just happened? She just
you just yes,
slapped 10 more members?
she just gifted 10 more memberships to your channel.
Whoa, Michaela, thanks so much. That's incredible. I don't even understand what that means, but I just feel it in my heart that that's an amazing thing. this is
For
the life of a non-live streamer. Like I don't even, dude. My viewers didn't even believe me when I turned on memberships. I was like, I don't know what that means. Eric and Rob told me to do that, so I've done that. And people were like, nah, there's no way you don't. I don't know how any of this works. By the way, before we go on, I just want to say, if you're watching this on my channel, just really quickly head over to Rob's Law and Lumber, give it a like, give it a subscribe, and then come back, or watch it from there, or watch it from here. This is the great thing about doing two lives. Go there, show them some love, come back, whatever.
Yep, I think I love this format because it gets the ability for both of us to talk simultaneously to our different audiences, especially about a case that's this important.
Yeah.
So,
but like both videos, guys. Like both videos.
Please do. I very much encourage that. Very much encourage that. Okay, so Spidey, before we go into the content of any of this analysis, while I'm going to be covering some of the legal interpretations of what I'm seeing as far as testimony and tactics and why she might be saying the things that she is doing, you're going to be doing something entirely different.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain kind of what that is?
Yeah, so I will be looking at the behaviors, mostly body language, facial expressions, and word choice. Word choice is really important. Statement analysis is really important. To try to determine what's going on emotionally, or what she's thinking, what she's feeling, where it's different. And we're going to talk a lot about things like baseline, idiosyncratic gestures. But before we do any of that, it's very important, and I'm glad you brought this up. We discussed how important it is. I want to do a disclaimer on lie detection. This is because there's such a I think false narrative out there, and that false narrative is propagated by bloggers and vloggers who don't really understand how it all works and misinterpret it, and TV shows and movies. That's the big culprit. Or like you see the detective in the room and like they zoom in on the bead of sweat and they go, oh, he's lying. So behaviorally speaking, this is going to be my quick disclaimer. Behaviorally speaking, there is nothing on this planet that you could see someone do or hear someone say that will allow you to know for a fact that they're being deceptive. The reason for this is because deception does not have a universal tell in behavior. There are things that do. So things like happiness, anger, sadness, wherever you are in the world, whether you're a lawyer in Virginia, a mentalist in Canada, or a 7-year-old girl in Zimbabwe, there are certain emotions that manifest the same way. Deception doesn't have that. There's nothing that we all do as humans when we're being deceptive. What we do know about deception based on research is that in most cases, it elicits stress and an increased cognitive load, which means our brain is doing more when we're lying than when we're telling the truth. When you're telling the truth, you have two things to do. Remember the truth, tell the truth, that's it. When you're lying, you have to fabricate the lie. You have to remember all the other lies you told to see what lines up. You have to present the lie. You have to see if it's working. So the cognitive load is increased. So the way lie detection works, and I do this because it's kind of the wrong word. Like a lie detector isn't a lie detector. It's a stress detector at most. Is that we look for those signs. We look for behaviors that are consistent with stress and increased cognitive load. And we look for them in clusters. We want to see more than just one. Because sometimes something is just, a behavior is just one thing. Let's, for example, look at blink rate. When blink rate goes up, there's a lot of research that shows that blink rate goes up with stress. But to conclude that because blink rate went up, the person is definitely lying, that's a big leap. That's a lot. So we look for clusters that deviate from the person's baseline. The way they normally behave, we're looking for things that differ from that around a specific topic and happen in clumps, a lot of things. And even at that, it's never certainty. It's never that person's for sure lying. It's just me as a behavioral analyst, I take note of that and go, there's something there that I might want to ask more questions about. This, I'm curious about this. So I don't want anyone at any point in the stream to take anything to mean that I'm suggesting that this is for sure deception. It's just an increased likelihood, a little bit more odds. Something's going on that I'm curious about based on behavior. That's it. That's the disclaimer. Let's go.
Okay. Following up on that, one of the things that's similar to litigation when I'm a trial attorney is having a witness on the stand and how to, it's not a matter of detecting whether they're being truthful or not, but I pick up on different things that give me an indication of whether I need to go further in a question. Your gut, I mean, this is a human instinct. Your gut tells you sometimes when you are seeing stressors in other people. You don't know why you're perceiving it that way, but you have this feeling when
Yeah,
you
but
see
Rob,
the
you know why.
explanation.
Rob, you know why. Rob, you know
You
why.
do. Well,
You know why. Rob
I
Morton, Law and Lumber, you know why. Like there have been things you've seen where you caught certain things that I missed. And I was like, oh damn. And that's just based on your specific experience and the specific things you look for.
Yeah, and that's the trial stuff. But one of the important things I'm just getting to is that in order to really do that with any what do I want to say, credibility, you have to have an understanding of how the person acts under this particular setting and environment. You have to establish what people are calling either a baseline or what did you call it earlier? Not a baseline.
Well, idiosyncratic behaviors or baselines,
Yes.
two different things. We'll talk about both. They're similar, but they're similar but different. They're the same but not the same.
Yeah. So in discussing that, one of the things that we talked about with Sally Smith when I was grabbing parts of this transcript was I wanted to give Spidey, when he reviewed these clips, I wanted to give him a bit of background. And I chose early parts of her deposition because I thought that a lot of that discussion gives you her normal behavior. There's things that we do that we just are just normal for us. They vary by person to person, and we can't really analyze how they're behaving up or down if we don't know what that line is. So let's go ahead and roll that.
And before we do, I love that we're looking at a bit of depo and then a bit of live testimony, because that will help me very much demonstrate the difference between baseline and idiosyncratic gestures or idiosyncratic behaviors. Two very different things, but they relate.
Yep. And once we finish the baseline, I'll catch up on super chats and we'll keep on going. Okay.
Let's go.
Would you raise your right hand, please?
Why is it frozen?
State your name for the record.
Sally Marie Smith.
And
It's on like slow-mo.
I've got a weird lag on this. I'm going to do it by another method. I'm going to pull the video up in a different, because you know what?
Work under these conditions.
This is how live streaming works, Spidey. You gotta, it's like trial. Nothing goes the way you plan it ever, 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 ever. So the best laid plans of mice and men. Window, media player, share audio to this feed. There we go.
I can't hear.
Is the audio working or no audio?
I don't hear it.
Hang on. I want to see if the chat can hear it at all. Let me see. No audio, people are saying.
No audio.
That was going to drive me nuts. Let me think here. Think. How do you want to do this, Rob? How are you going to handle it?
This is why I pre-record. This is why I pre-record.
This is why he pre-records. This is why he pre-records. This is why he pre-records. All right, let me see if I can try this one more time. Let's see if there's still a lag on this guy.
were a PD.
Truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
State your name for the record.
Sally Marie Smith.
And you were a pediatrician working for the state in the case of Maya Kowalski. Is that true?
I was the medical director for the child protection team, providing a medical evaluation for Maya Kowalski, yes.
Following medical school, what did you do?
I did a pediatric residency. I did a 1.5 years of residency training at All Children's Hospital in St. Petersburg from 1984 to the middle of the end of 85. And then I transferred back to St. Louis University at Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital, and I did the remaining 1.5 years of my pediatric residency there and completed that in 1987.
In your residency program, how long did you spend? And you rotate through a number of different areas, do you not, in your residency? All right. How long did you spend in pediatric psychology or psychiatry?
I, again, did not look at my transcripts before I came here. I really have no idea specifically. I'm sure we had training in pediatric psychology and psychiatry as part of multiple components of the residency program, but I don't specifically remember like how many weeks or if I did a specific rotation or something like that.
Okay. And do you remember any of your professors, or I guess they're doctors that are also adjunct to a medical school that you were working with? Or were you just, I'm trying to figure out the setup there. And my question really is, were there any doctors who are also professors that specialized in pediatric psychology or psychiatry that you worked with over this residency?
I don't recall.
Okay. Okay. After your residency, what did you do?
I did an additional year of fellowship training in ambulatory pediatrics at St. Louis University, Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital.
What is ambulatory pediatrics involved?
It was fellowship in, ambulatory is people who are not hospitalized, essentially. And so I worked in clinics with various mentors, learning to essentially teach academic pediatrics in the clinic setting. I don't recall if I did any specific inpatient work as well.
What is academic pediatrics?
Pediatrics that is sort of focused on education and training of medical students and residents and interns.
I just muted myself. Okay, I think that's enough for us to kind of talk about what we're seeing as far as baseline. So one of the things, the most obvious thing is her voice, her tone. There's the inflection, not falsetto. What's the vibration, the vibrato in her tone. Yeah, that's natural, whether she's under stress or not. So when she has the long pause like that vibration in her voice, that's going to remain. So that's one of the things that I kind of noticed as being consistent. The other thing that I saw was, man, did her eyes go way up. Like but you had made the comment that her brow is in a constant furrow, yet her eyes will go up at the same time.
Yeah. Should I talk about that?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So first, let's distinguish between baseline and idiosyncratic behaviors, because it's really important. I think it's often misused, and there was a few comments about this that are a little misleading. So you might look at a depo and go, what kind of a baseline can you establish in a deposition? You know, she's obviously stressed. Of course, that's what baseline means. So idiosyncratic gesture means behaviors that are consistent for someone regardless of setting. This is just the way the person behaves. So with this woman, I don't know what she's like at a family barbecue. There are certain guesses I can make, and I'll tell you what those guesses are in a second, but I don't know for a fact what she's like. I don't really care either. I want to know the baseline. I want to know in this deposition, what is normal for her. So you'll notice with a lie detector test in the beginning, they ask base questions or just normal questions. See what the base stress is for this person in this setting, not at a family barbecue, because I want to see what's going to deviate from that. So what we're looking for is not necessarily idiosyncratic. When we see her go from this to the live testimony, we're going to know what's idiosyncratic more or less, because she might be stressed in both settings. There are things that are going to be similar. There are things that are going to be very different. So in the deposition, there's a couple of things that are baseline behavior, meaning they are consistent for her within this setting. And one of them is, like you said, these furrowed eyebrows downwards. Now, this for me is very difficult because I pay a lot of attention to eyebrow flashing. Eyebrow flashing has been very researched, and we see it in a lot of things. We see it in surprise when someone's surprised. We see it in emphasis a lot. We emphasize with eyebrows. In fact, there's great research that shows that when we're giving directions, we eyebrow flash just before the important part of the instruction. Like, pay attention to this. We also see eyebrow flashing in greetings a lot. It's a very social cue. Pretty much everywhere in the world, we see eyebrows going up combined with greetings. So eyebrow flash gives importance to things. Her eyebrows were down almost that entire time in the depo. In the live, it's going to be different. We're going to see a couple of eyebrow flashes. And it's crazy because for me, when she eyebrow flashed, I almost heard like this sound of like rusty metal going like, oh, those things move. Those things move. That's incredible. The other thing you could see is the lines on her face. Rob, you were telling me this before before we streamed. You can see over here that line, the musculature here.
Stress.
The stress. I think this is idiosyncratic for her. I think she
Yeah.
spends a lot of time like this. The other reason
Yeah.
I think that is because if you look at the top of her forehead, we don't see several lines up here. So this is something I use in my cold reading as a mentalist. When I'm reading people, if I see a lot of those lines up there at the top, we know that this is somebody that has the habit of eyebrow flashing a lot. So this indicates someone who's typically empathetic or very social. They connect with things, they emphasize, they're expressive. She doesn't have much going on up there. She has a lot going down here. So I believe this is idiosyncratic for her. It certainly is within this baseline. So we've got a lot of this. What does this mean? So people are often more inquisitive, more skeptical, more fact-driven. This is when we think, when we're in deep thought, we furrow brows. Also with anger, we furrow brows. This is a serious woman. She's a straight to the point woman. I think we can tell that in the way that she speaks. I think she's quite matter of fact. I don't know that this woman is like a big jokester, that's light in the work environment. I think she's pretty to the point. She also puts a lot of emphasis on intellect, on facts, on intelligence. And we'll see that in her behavior. Like right in the beginning, when her title is given, she instantly corrects it with this kind of,
Yep.
Rob, I don't know if condescending is the right word. I don't think it's condescending.
I would say here's the way I phrased it. She is not comfortable with people choosing words for her.
Right.
She wants to have control over how the phrase or how the words or what's coming out. So every question that's asked of her, she will regurgitate the question or clarify her answer with some clarifier. And the clarifier is never like one word. It's always no, it's actually this if I were to properly phrase that.
Yeah, exactly. So she, I think control, or just like you said, frame, or just controlling that frame, or just rephrasing it to be like, this is the actual right way, that correcting. So we're seeing that, and that indicates like an importance for intelligence. And there's a clip we're going to look at from the trial that was a hoot for me.
Oh yeah, there's a couple.
Yeah, we'll look at that. So a lot of comments in the chat about Botox. It's a really great comment. Can Botox be the explanation as to why we don't see movement in the eyebrows? Yes, very often we don't see movement in the eyebrows because of Botox. It wouldn't be a reason why someone's furrowing, though. Usually with Botox,
yeah, that's a flex. That's a flex, isn't it?
It's
That's
a
an actual
flex.
active muscle movement.
Yeah. Usually with Botox, it's just this. So we don't see much of those eyebrow flashes. The person just talks. I have such a hard time doing it. Like, I'm such an eyebrow flashy person. So we see a lot of this. Also, whether it's Botox or not, I don't care. I'm looking at baseline. So all I go is, I look at it and go, this person's eyebrows aren't moving. That's fine. It doesn't matter why. It could be Botox, it could be some form of paralysis, or simply they don't move their eyebrows. I'm just considering that in my baseline. So when I do see those eyebrows move, I'm gonna go, oh, okay, well, that's something, because that doesn't happen very often. Besides that, in the beginning, we see a lot of postural shift. Another thing I want you to notice, I'm sure a lot of you have, after almost every single answer in this entire depo, we instantly see a bunch of stuff with the lips. We see compressions, we see lip licking like this. And this is such a great example as to why baseline is important, because if somebody doesn't compress their lips often, all of a sudden they're doing it a whole lot on a specific topic, I'm gonna go, okay, there's something going on here. With her, it's after every single question. After every single answer, when she's done, we get some of that, some lip licking. So a lot of activity there. Can I speculate why this happens? Sure, but it's pretty much useless. It's happening every single time. So yeah, it's pretty baseline for her. I also want you to notice the chin and how that fluctuates. A lot of the time when she's feeling defensive, like a question's being asked where she feels like she's being attacked, we see the chin guarding, so the chin goes inwards. And then often when she's on the offense, that chin comes out and thrusts forward. So this will give us a good indication as to how she's feeling towards specific topics. We protect vital parts of the body when we're feeling vulnerable. So we see things close in like this, we guard the neck. And then when we're more confident or comfortable, we expose those things. So we really see that shift with her a lot. That's pretty much what I got.
What about physical
turtle. Somebody in the comments said, I don't know if I said turtling, but somebody in the comments said turtle. That's what that's called. Turtling.
It's the same chin. Yeah, it's a chin down.
Yeah.
The only thing I think you didn't talk about was physical illustrators. So, and this is a contrast between her behavior in depo and her behavior in live trial, and it's baseline. It's a difference in her baseline. I am a person that uses physical illustrators a lot. Physical illustrators are hands all over the place when I'm explaining. They are aids, they are assists, they are to give emphasis to words I'm using. That's part of my baseline. In depos, she doesn't use them almost at all. So when you see her use them, that's something that you can take a look at. In live, when she's testifying in front of the jury, she's using them all the time. It's part of her baseline, so you can't overread into it.
A lot more, yeah. It's baseline, but not idiosyncratic. So we don't know. I don't know. You know, when she's hanging out with her friends on the weekends, I don't know what's happening with her illustrators. But you're right. Also with the eyebrow flash, it happens a lot more in the live than in the depo, which is almost not there at all.
Which makes sense because in the live, there's someone to persuade. There is someone that you would want to use that for.
Nice. Love it.
So, all right, we catch up on a few of the super chats and we'll get going to our first clip. Sue Story, oh my God, two of the kindest, most ethical, most competent gentlemen. Thank you, Sue. Very kind of you. I had the pleasure of watching Teamed Up. Thank you. Thank you very much. Gemma Pint, thank you very much. Super chat to say thank you as I was gifted a membership and I love this channel. Congrats on 200K, Rob. Love to you and Spidey. Thank you. M. Young gifted 5 Lawn Lumber memberships. Thank you. Waltzing Matilda, this was on your channel. Waltzing Matilda said, I'm late, but so happy. My favorite collabs on YouTube are Spidey and Rob and Spidey and Chase. Even better when all three sending love.
Chase is here in spirit.
He is?
I mean, yeah, he's always here in spirit.
Oh, his
right?
book, yeah, his book is there.
I don't know, his book is somewhere
Yep.
around.
Joe WRN, such a great feeling to see the two of you together. Love the collaboration. Me too. I love hanging out with Spidey. Snazzy Trinkets Jewelry. Live in front of jury and live outside of jury in proffer was most telling to me. I see her as being extremely deceptive. You can read that, but I want you to be careful about whether you're reading too much into the difference in behavior.
I agree.
Just Sarah, that was on yours. Thank you for your insights. Hope you do more lives.
By the way, I just want to add something to what the person said earlier. Your intuition is a powerful tool. It's the result of a lot of growing as a species, and served us very well. But question it. I never say like don't trust your intuition or shut it off. It's there for a reason. We pick up on things subtly that we don't even know why we're picking up on, but question that. That I always say, like, whatever you're feeling is fine. But if there's, don't just stop there and be like, that's it, that's what I'm feeling, that's the end of it. Look for new information. Try to question that conclusion.
I love that. That's great. I do that with legal analysis, and I encourage people to do the same. Plainly, new member on Behavioral Arts. M. Young, new member here. Thank you. Canonical Heat, thank you for the super chat. Subscribe because 200K isn't enough. I would also encourage you to subscribe to Behavioral Arts if you have not already. He's at 951,000. I'd love to see him get to 1 million.
I'd love to see you get to 1 million before I get to 1 million. So everybody go subscribe to him. If all my subscribers subscribe to you, you'll get to 1 million before I do.
I think there's subscriber overlap. I think they like seeing us hanging out together. Casey Cat, very, very kind of you. Thank you. Thanks once again for shining light onto a disease that most people who have it only tell their closest circle. After years of faker, drama queen, crazy, and drug seeker, you're personally changing lives. You are my hero forever. From your grateful friend. Casey Cat, thank you for the very kind words. And that's also a reminder. People can perceive the evidence in being one direction or the other, but there are two sides to every single story. And one of those sides happens to be the circumstance of CRPS that so many people are afflicted with. Chronic pain in general is something that is constantly misdiagnosed or overlooked because they do throw that accusation out. It's so easily dismissed. So it's nice to see that a case is bringing questions like that for us to consider.
Rob, I'm keeping an eye, while you're doing super chats, I'm keeping an eye on the chat. There's a question I love here, and I think I would love your answer on this. Listen to Learn is, what a great name. What a great YouTube name. Is saying, any chance she was coached, trained to change her facial expression and prep for trial? So, Rob, let me ask you this. You see, she's your client, and you see her depot, and you see that. Are you telling her something? Are you telling her, like, listen, when you get in front of that jury, you got to do more this, less that, or not? What would you say?
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It does not work, because when you tell them to do it, one, they'll remember it for the first 5 minutes of their testimony. But the second that stress increases, it glitches. And then it becomes even more deceptive looking, because you have them doing a stark change in their baseline behavior, or a stark change in what their behavior is. And if they're doing it already, I would rather explain them doing it consistently than anything else. And
So instead of behavioral specific tips, like, you know, move those eyebrows more, would you just give like a global, like, relax a little bit, you know, be a little bit more, try to connect with them a little bit more like humans, like, so just sort of like, so that the behavior shifts as a result of their attitude, rather than like, make sure to use those eyebrows more, you know, make sure to like WD-40 those eyebrows a little.
No, well, I mean, one of the things that I talk to all my witnesses about is that I think I've used this analogy with you. Good testimony is supposed to be like a tennis match where you have either the judge or jury looking like this from one to the other. You want the jury focused on both your questions and the response that's being given. And I tell my witnesses to focus on the fact that they're having a conversation with me, that yes, some of these things are going to be delivered to the jury, but when you find yourself in a high stress situation, I want them to focus their attention on me, talk to me. Because when you're in a high stress like that, if you are awkwardly turning to the jury, you can glitch. You can do something that you don't intend to do. So I would rather them just focus on that to try and calm them down.
Love it.
I think I've also told you this. I asked my clients in one of the first meetings, I asked them what their favorite color is. And the day they testify in court, I wear that tie.
Oh, dude, you are like, I'm the mentalist. I'm the mentalist. I'm not the mentalist here, bro.
Well, in custody cases, I actually asked them what the daughter, if it's a daughter, I asked them their daughters, and I will wear that daughter's favorite color. And
wow,
that is a way of conveying to them without even saying it, conveying to them that you care, and it calms them. So, yeah,
love that.
Yep.
Rob, what's your favorite color?
Purple. Bar none. My kitchen cabinets, my kitchen island is purple.
I'm not asking for any specific reason. I was just curious. I don't really, I just wanted to know.
Oh, no,
just for
not
my
at all. We
information.
can't tell. We cannot tell at all. Not at all. You goofball. Okay. So let's get into one of the first clips that we've got. So one of the first clips that we had, and I wanted to go back to the one that you said there's one that was gold, and it was one of the depot clips that I had. Let me see if I can't find it here. Depot clip number 4. Let me see. Here we go.
At the very bottom of 33.
Stop glitching. Maybe it just needs a second. I'm just going to give it a second to load, and we'll play it. I think that's what it did last time.
Now, at the very bottom of 33.
You want to sing your tune again? This is why I pre-record.
This is why I pre-record. This is why
he pre-records. This is why he pre-records.
At the very bottom of 33, the next to last couple lines is, the purpose is to solicit the medical director's opinion first, and then the statewide medical director's opinion, only if this is not sufficient. You see that?
Yeah. Yes, I see it.
I mean, who's the medical director there?
That would be me.
Okay. And then the statewide medical director's opinion.
Yes.
Was that ever, in Maya Kowalski's case, did you ever seek the statewide medical director?
It's the load time. So when the next one comes up, I'm going to start pulling these clips up. It said let them start loading, but it's the load time. That's what it's doing.
You ever seek the statewide medical director's opinion?
I did recently, but I don't recall if I did at the time of the evaluation or not.
Tell me about who that was recently or is recently, and what opinion you sought.
This is going to drive me
This case, did you ever?
Okay, let me see if I can't pull up the next one on the other screen, because this is going to drive me absolutely through the roof. All right. That should have had enough time. Let's see.
Ever seek the statewide medical director's opinion?
I did recently, but I don't recall if I did at the time of the evaluation or not.
Tell me about who that was recently or is recently, and what opinion you sought.
Dr. Bruce McIntosh. reviewed the file, and I didn't personally seek his response.
I was curious what you saw there. I saw that as kind of being cagey. Like, if for me, I would have gone so much further into that topic because it seems like there's a lot to do, but I couldn't pick up why.
Well, it's your instinct, and it's funny because my first note for this one says, great example of why we have to think critically, and like really just instead of accept at face value what we're getting as answers, really think about. So one of the questions as an interviewer, as an interrogator, as anyone who questions anyone, when you ask questions, ask yourself, is the answer that's being provided answering my question, and is it answering the entirety of my question? So I'll talk about that, and then I'll talk about the nickname I've given her, Rob, that I told you earlier, because there's a big part of this that and it's not condescending at all. It's just for me in my head, it's a really good comparison of a character that I actually love that she reminds me of. So she's asked if what's the question? She's asked if she shared or she called
if she sought the statewide medical director's opinion,
right?
And she says, I did recently.
I did recently. Okay, so let's start with that. I did recently. Recently is called an exclusion qualifier. So an exclusion qualifier basically is any word that I use in my answer that kind of removes the answer from the answer. So if you ask me a question, instead of going, I did, I go, I basically did. I sort of did. To sum up, I did. These are all exclusion qualifiers. It means I didn't necessarily. So I did recently. Does that answer the question? I suppose it does. Does it answer the whole question?
No.
Not really. He wants to know if at the time. So it's a useless answer. Whether you did recently or not is useless. He wants to know if you did it back then. So she's giving this qualifier that kind of disqualifies the answer. Then at the end, she says that it wasn't even her. Right at the end, she goes that I don't know, because it wasn't even me who reached out to him. So if we go back to her previous answer, the answer should have been no. You never reached out to him, because first you're saying you did recently, then you're saying you're not the one who did that. So at no point does she answer this question. That's why you felt like there's something missing, because first she dodges it, then she gives an answer that undoes the first answer, basically rendering the short answer to the whole question, no, I did not reach out to him. That's it. This isn't even analysis. This isn't even anything subtle. It's just logically looking at her answers and going, she basically said no, she never reached out to him. Okay, so let me give the other thing. Right in the beginning, he asks a question and she goes, that would be me, right? Almost like in this like it's almost like this obvious, like that would be me. It's this and other behaviors like this that for me earned her the nickname Dr. House, because I'm a huge fan of the show Dr. House. And he also has this intelligence, kind of this like, puts all this importance on intelligence and often trusts his own instinct and feels like he doesn't have to answer to certain people. And we're going to see a lot of that with her, to where, listen, I'm not questioning her qualifications. I'm sure she's extremely qualified, but I'm also certain that there are parts where, whether it's in this case or in other cases, where she feels like her qualifications are good enough that she doesn't necessarily have to answer to other people. Rob, am I way off base here?
No, she does it. She does it a lot. And it's part of when she reframes the question. It's not giving credence to the question that you asked. It's the question you asked me wasn't good enough. So I'm going to reframe it to give what I believe to be the proper answer to where you should be asking the question. It's very dismissive of the questioner. And I can imagine that she's very used to controlling conversations, Yeah, it's a lot of the dismissing of, well, any opinion that I feel isn't her own. If you question that authority, it seems like there's a lot that just comes back, and it's explanation. You see a lot of that's when you see most of her chin jots, her outward expression. So
yeah. Are we going to talk about the whole putting the walker further from the bed than it's supposed to be thing? Are we going to get to that at some point?
Yes, we will.
Can you just mention that really quick? What was that about?
So there's an allegation Actually, you know what? Let's play the video, because the video in the depo kind of explains what it's about,
Okay.
and it'll give people a pretty good understanding of where we are going with this.
Okay.
Okay. Different mechanism for sharing the video. We are now going to do it in a tab. So you have to tell me if you can hear it.
All right. Table 6.2, the last bullet point, recommendations for confirming infectious disorder by proxy. Consider covert video surveillance. Did you, in fact, consider covert video surveillance?
There was, I believe, there was a day or so that there was some videotaping of the child in her hospital room in an attempt to document the amount of movement that she was and the activities that she was undergoing in her room when people weren't present or when doctors weren't present.
Who directed the video surveillance?
I guess I don't know. They have, a setup at the hospital. They have, a setup at the hospital.
Who directed the video surveillance?
I had discussion with the hospitalists. I don't remember exactly which one it was at that point in time about the possible benefit of that activity.
She who shall not answer questions.
My note on this was that was the most indirect way to say me.
Yeah.
So we saw an eyebrow flash. So this is why baseline matters, right? We saw an eyebrow flash and it was on the word document. So when she goes to document, can you go back and just show that? Because this is important because her eyebrows do not move. So it's at the moment where she goes to document.
This one.
And like you said, we've got these eyes up searching.
It's right here. Believe an attempt to there.
Just play it for me.
There was, I believe, there was a day or so that there was some videotaping of the child in her hospital room in an attempt to document the amount of movement that she was
right on the word
of the child in her hospital room in an attempt to document the amount of movement that she was and the activities that she was undergoing.
This isn't happening very often with her, but right there, to document. So remember,
with a physical illustrator at the same time. The emphasis.
Exactly. So this is important. She's emphasizing this. So again, remember, a lot of the time we emphasize with those eyebrows. This is important. Pay attention now. The research shows us again and again that in instruction, this happens just before the main part. So it's important to see when that baseline breaks, and it's happening right there. So it's important for her to say, this was simply to document. There was nothing else. This wasn't a test. This wasn't for us this was to document. Let me really quickly see right in the beginning where what we call verbal leaks and speechless fluency or speech is falling apart. This goes back to what I was saying earlier, the increase in cognitive load. So when your brain is being on overdrive, you start to hesitate a little more because you're trying to put those words together. We're seeing a lot of that in the beginning. So what we're getting here is someone who's carefully trying to construct a specific answer. Does that necessarily mean deception? No. It just means that it's important for it to present this a specific and correct way. The blink rate is also up. And again, this is highly researched. Blink rate goes up with stress. So we're seeing these clusters. We're seeing that eyebrow flash, the blink rate. Like you said, that illustrator is coming up to drive this point home. We're seeing the speechless fluency. We're seeing the verbal leaks. A lot of non-answers here. A lot of dodgy stuff. So that constitutes a cluster. Again, does it mean she's being deceptive for sure? No, it just means I'm curious about this. There's some stuff that is important for it to present a certain way.
Now, my question is, would you then be curious to see her behaviors when she answered similar questions in the live trial testimony?
100%, of course.
Okay.
I want this to be explored. I want this to. What I would do is in an interview, when things like this happen, when I see that moment of emphasis, when I see the person trying to emphasize something important like document, I just take the word they emphasize and add a question mark to it. So my next question would be document, and let them elaborate. Break that open. Find where that thing is and break it open.
Yep. So here, and what's really interesting is all of the clips that I grabbed, I was grabbing clips that I thought were where she was testifying about impactful elements of the trial. And I gave Spidey, what, 15 clips from both the depo, 15 from the live.
Yeah.
The ones he picked were the ones I thought he was going to, because it was where I thought she had the most stressors.
You're such
And
a mentalist. You're such a
it
mentalist.
was, well, it's, and what's curious about it is the ones that he chose, the ones that had the most stressors, from the legal standpoint, happen to have the most significance in this trial.
Yeah.
So Spidey didn't know that before I sent him the clips.
No, and I was like, these are the ones. And you were like, those are the ones I thought you were going to pick. Rob, really quickly talk about the walker, though, for those who don't know, like what this footage was revealing.
So it's not
or
the
showing.
walker. It's not the walker. So there's a period of time, a 48-hour period of time. Hang on. Pull this up. 48-hour period of time when she's hospitalized. Now, this is, I believe, after the shelter order has been entered. It's after the shelter order has been entered, so she's technically under the jurisdiction of the courts at this point in time. So if Sally Smith directed, if DCF directed that this evaluation be conducted as part of their investigation, there's an argument that that would be Chapter 39 immunity. However, if the hospital suggested it or directed it, or if Sally Smith engaged in asking the hospital to do it, not as part of the DCF, but as part of some type of therapy or treatment, then the hospital's on the hook, because it would be outside the scope of normal care to do this level of investigation. But it's a 40-hour period of time where Maya was placed in a room for active monitoring. So they had cameras that were monitoring her, essentially to try to gather information or evidence that she could, in fact, walk and move about the room freely, while she was alleging the exact opposite. The allegations by the plaintiff is that the commode was intentionally placed far enough away from
It
the
was
bed
commode. I'm sorry. My bad.
that Maya could not scoot herself off of it, that she had to actually get up and walk to it. That the hospital says they didn't do that, but that's what the plaintiffs have alleged. At the very least, we know that there was monitoring taking place. And the question that the jury is being asked is, was that done for therapeutic / pure purposes of diagnosis and proper care, or was it done in the context of investigation, which is outside the scope of what the hospital is authorized to do when they're doing differential diagnosis? And I go down that differential diagnosis part because people get nitpicky on investigation as a part of differential diagnosis. If I can say this in the most appropriate way, there's two definitions to the word investigation. There's the kind where we're doing critical thinking and analysis of a past diagnosis and trying to inquire further as to what it could be. And then there's the kind of, I am gathering documented proof to present to a court. So.
Okay. Love it. That puts a lot of context and kind of really makes sense that she would emphasize that documented, like that's what this was.
Yep. And when the hospital presented the recordings, they only had snippets. They didn't have the full period of time that she was in there, that was just odd. That was just odd.
Did there come a point at which you became aware
Oh, come on.
of any pictures or videos being taken of Maya?
Yes.
And tell us in general how that came about.
I'm not sure from the standpoint of the treating team at the hospital. From my standpoint, that was related to attempting to have some photo documentation as part of my evaluation, and that could be available as part of the investigation.
Was it your understanding? Well, did you have any understanding of whether the treatment team desired any such pictures for clinical reasons?
I believe so, but what I can speak to is what I was doing with, or my role with it, and my role was related to this attempt for some, in this case, video.
She throwing the hospital under the bus. What's going on here?
To this attempt for some, in this case, video documentation for the purposes of the investigation.
Did there?
Rob, is she throwing the hospital under the bus here?
Uh-huh. that emphasis here, this one,
Yeah.
this one, right
Look at those
there.
lines. Look at those
Look at
lines. We're
that.
not seeing these often on her. So the eyebrows are going up as she turns to jury and she's holding it.
Look how much she actually leans forward to the jury. Don't hold me accountable. That's what that is. For my purposes, I did it for the investigation. I don't know what the hospital was doing it for, but for my purposes, I was doing it for the investigation.
Didn't she settle out?
Yeah.
So what is this?
I don't know. Because you have I don't know. Because you have this cagey answer, right? During her deposition about the discussions about video, right? Just going back to that answer and how she behaved during that answer. There were discussions about the video and there was a purpose to document. Okay. And then contrast that with the deposition answer is muddy the waters. That's what it is. Muddy the waters. The live testimony answer was clear distinction. My purposes, hospital's purposes.
Yeah. I'm just, from a legal standpoint, I'm hoping you can explain to me why she would do this, because she's out at this point. No one's coming after her. So it doesn't matter what she did. You would think that a big part of her testimony would be to not be like, well, I was doing that. I don't know what they were doing, but I was doing this. There's a part of me that doesn't quite understand why she would go this route.
I honestly, the hospital has declined to present Favre witnesses, which is essentially the you are being sued and you say it wasn't all my fault. There was a third party that was involved. They're not sitting in the hot seat, but you shouldn't give me all of the liability. You should give them some. So only divide what I'm responsible for. But they said, no, they're not going to do that.
Yep.
Anything else that you caught with those two clips? The emphasizer, she is not very illustrative.
No.
But so when she does, it really makes you focus on what she's saying and why she's saying it.
Yeah. Can we, no, I think we could keep moving. Let's look at, hold on.
Actually, let me pause for a second.
No, there's something I want to use to emphasize your point, but it's from can you go to the 9th clip you shared with me from the depot?
Number 9? Yeah.
Did you have something to say before that?
I did. And because we're now into this subject matter.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about whether Maya is properly diagnosed with complex regional pain syndrome or whether the hospital had reasonable suspicion to believe that there was a diagnosis of Munchausen's by proxy or conversion disorder. I am not talking about whether the diagnosis was appropriate. What I'm talking about is conduct that exists that, despite the diagnosis being appropriate or not, is something the hospital needs to explain and Sally Smith needs to explain. We're not talking about ketamine. We're not talking about that. And that's not the purposes of this. Her testimony to me right now stands alone. It stands apart because I want to hear explanation as to these specific incidents of conduct. Who directed it? In what role did they direct it? Who made the judgment call this was a good idea or that this was within their authority? That's what I want to hear. And that doesn't rest on whether Maya was properly diagnosed with CRPS or Munchausen's by proxy.
Correct. Which is why it's like, it seems like a series of non-answers, right? The case is about what happened and the answers are about who did it.
Yeah.
A lot of non-answers.
You wanted to go to clip number 9 from the depot, right?
Clip number 9, because I want to point out something and then I want to ask you something.
Oh, this is the follow-up on the video surveillance. All right, hang on. Let me make sure this. I'm gonna make sure it loads. Give it a second.
What did you find with the video surveillance?
There were numerous instances during the video which were comparable to numerous observations of the physical therapists, the nurses, the child life staff, the music therapy staff, etc., of the child moving around in bed, putting her feet in normal neutral position, using her upper body, her lower body in various movements that provided concrete evidence in support of all of the observations that were made by numerous hospital staff.
Oh, I'm dying to hear what your thoughts were. You need to unmute. Elaine, your microphone.
Sorry. First and foremost, that pause wasn't a lag. That was a pause
That was a pause.
before concrete evidence. Two things. One, this isn't even behavioral analysis. This isn't even behavioral analysis. It's a different area of psychology that I've studied extensively, and that's persuasion. And it's when she starts listing physical therapists, nurses, child life staff, music therapy staff, and all these people who agree with me, So this is called social proof, right? And social proof is basically, there's a lot of research that shows that although we like to think that we're individualistic thinkers, and in a lot of cases we are, in a lot of cases we have herd mentality. We think for a group, and there's some amazing research on this to where in almost life-threatening circumstances, we still follow the group and prioritize groupthink over survival, which is crazy. There are some people out there who use social proof conversationally to gain credibility. And they'll just say, like everybody says this, or everyone tells me that, or they start listing the people who are on their side. There's some very famous examples of this that I've looked at on my channel. For example, one of my most viral video ever was the slap, Will Smith and Chris Rock. And when Will Smith got up there and he was talking, he acknowledged Denzel in the crowd. Denzel Washington said something and he goes, thanks, D. And then he said, Denzel was telling me this. This is recruiting. You're saying, look, I have all these important people on my side. That's what she's doing here. She could have simply said hospital staff. That could have been it.
It's not enough.
But she lists all these departments who agree with her. And this is an attempt at social proof. My question for you was this, Rob. She keeps referring to Maya as the child, the child, the child. I find this impersonal. I think it's +1 for intelligence because it makes her seem, and again, she seeks intelligence. The most important thing for this woman is to come off as credible and intelligent. This is why we see these corrections. This is why we see, no, this is the right words to use in this circumstance. When you say the child, it comes off as professional. Like, I know what I'm talking about. This is what I do. I'm a consummate pro. But it removes a point for empathy. Her name is Maya.
It does. And this is one that I wanted to clarify for a bit too. In litigation, when I litigate domestic relations cases, and when you litigate enough of them, when you have done through, because here's the thing, in pleadings, in medical records, in the file, it's not referred to, the name isn't there. It's the child, the patient, the child, the patient, the child, the patient. It becomes such a significant part of nomenclature. And for her, this is a case. This is a case. You have to remember that. This is one of hundreds of cases. For her, yes, it demonstrates a lack of empathy, but it's something that I see throughout the profession. And I catch myself doing it too when I talk about a case or a client, because I'll be in the middle of discussing facts and about what the circumstances are, the argument I need to make. And I'll find myself saying, the child, the minor child, it's not impersonal. I care about it. But in that moment, my brain isn't on the empathy side of my brain. I'm not there.
Right. Like I said, it's a professional thing. It's just, to me, when I hear that, it reminds me of Patch Adams. I don't know if you've seen the movie.
Yes, I love the movie.
Me too. I go back to it every time, like I'm feeling a little down in the dumps. I watch Patch Adams, and there's a scene where like they're in the hospital wing, and and they keep saying the patient.
The patient. Yeah, the patient has a name.
What's your name? And there's a real human connection there. So I guess as someone who, like, for me, I overvalue the human connection at the cost of being professional or the way it's supposed to be. So for me, when I hear that, the child, I'm like, it's Maya, and she's experiencing something very difficult. So But I get what you're saying, and I do agree that that's just the way it is. That's, when you're in a trial, when you're in a case, that's just the way it goes.
And this is also a contrast between deposition and trial. She doesn't refer to the child. She doesn't make the reference to the child nearly as much in her trial testimony. And that makes sense because in the trial setting, there's people there. It's a reminder of the empathetic part that she's supposed to be portraying. Which
she's trying a lot harder to empathize during the trial than during the depo.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Rob, let's jump to 12. It's so funny. Somebody in the comments said, like, you gave me homework. You did. I'm like, Professor, can we go to slide 12? Let's do that. I have some really good stuff on that one. And
this is one of your favorites. And I have the we've got this one from the trial as well. So
okay. And guys, I swear we're gonna get to the trial soon. That's why I'm just skipping to the important ones. I just want to knock these out.
Okay. So let's see. Come on, baby, don't lag.
All right, it looks like an hour and 9 minutes later at 13:59, perhaps after discussion, you write, also, probably already in progress, but maybe get her off as many meds as possible. You're suggesting action to the hospitalist on the case at this point?
We were discussing elements of the case and the care.
Do you agree with the characterization that you're suggesting action on the part of the hospitalist?
As it says, I texted to her, probably already in progress, but maybe get her off as many meds as possible.
Would you agree that's a suggestion to the hospitalist?
That was part of our text discussion regarding recommendations. So I guess it was a suggestion. I don't know in what context.
And it's a suggestion related to Maya's medications while she's sheltered at Johns Hopkins, correct?
I believe I just read exactly what it says.
Do you agree with that characterization? It's a suggestion related to Maya's medications while she's at Johns Hopkins.
It was apparently a proposal related to her medications.
Hold on, Rob, hold on. Okay, here we go.
You good? Because this one started.
Here we go. What do you go?
This part of the deposition drove me freaking crazy. You read the text message. Any human being in the world knows that that text message is a suggestion. It's a suggestion. Don't overanalyze it and try to say, I don't know, maybe. This, to me, any credibility that she had prior to this, I'm going, all right, everything that comes out of your mouth, I'm skeptical of.
So my note on this, which made you laugh before we streamed, which was like my theme of a lot of her answers, was you don't have to lie if you're not answering questions. Like, people tell me, is she lying? I don't know. Let her answer a question. I'll let you know what I think. You got to give me an answer before I could tell you if it's a lie or not. This is just non-answer. At some point she goes, he asks again, like, is it a suggestion? She goes, I read what it says. So? So? What does that have to do with anything? That is the definition of a non-answer. I read what it says. But that's not even remotely what he asked you. So unbelievable. Just non-answer. As it says, referral statement, she just keeps going back to what it says. We know what it says. But here's the thing. Here's where I love this stuff. And I don't know how many people saw it. I'm hoping some of my peeps saw it. I'm hoping some of my behavioral arts represent saw it. The moment she says context, so she goes, I don't know under what context.
Oh,
we
it was
instantly see something. Hold on, before you look at it, I want to say what it is first.
Okay.
Actually, no, play it. Where is it? Because I want those who came from the behavioral arts, you guys are going to see it. Please. So I don't know under what context.
It was probably already in progress as much as possible. You're suggesting part of the hospital. Probably already in progress. There it is, the answer.
Play from there. Right at the end of her sentence. When she ends her sentence, we're going to do it once. I'm not going to give you any clues. And then we're going to do it again. I'm going to give you a clue. And then we're going to do it again. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is and you're going to see it. Go. after
many
the
minutes
word
as possible.
context.
Would you agree that's a
Immediately after
suggestion
context.
to the hospitalist?
That was part of our text discussion regarding recommendations. So I guess it was a suggestion. I don't know in what context.
And it's a suggestion related to Maya's message.
Oh, you got to help me because I missed that.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. I want to see if anyone in my chat saw it.
I missed it. I didn't see anything.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about
What?
it. You're gonna see it. You're gonna see it, and then yes, BIM. Is that one of mine? Is that one of mine? Is that one of mine?
Yep. Is that one of mine?
Behavioral artists are here. Okay, look at after
wait,
context.
hang on. I got there's someone coming in here. Is it a lip curl?
Yeah, it's a great look, lip compression, the smirk, it's all lip curl, it's all good. Look at it again, Rob. Immediately after context, look at the left side of her mouth.
Okay. Oh, does she? Okay, hang on.
Look at it. Look
So
at
I
it.
guess
And then
it
you're
was
going to
a
be like, how the hell did I miss
suggestion. I
that?
don't know in what context.
And it's a suggestion related to.
That was so quick. That is so quick.
So let's talk about it. I'm so glad my artists are here. So, okay, let's talk about universal expressions. So the universal expressions or the micro expressions or the universal expressions of emotion are the emotions that we see pretty much anywhere in the world, more or less the same. They look more or less the same. In other words, if you go to any area in the world, whether they're like modern or more tribal, and you show them pictures of certain expressions, there'll be a high recognizability rate. And of all the emotions, there are some that have those. So basically anywhere in the world, they have a high recognizability rate. So things like anger, sadness, anywhere in the world, you see this, you're not going to be like, oh, that person must be happy. We get it. It's innately human. Yeah. Contempt is one of them. What's that?
Right here.
He's still looking for it. It's right after context.
No, it's this. It's that. It's right there. The left side lip, right there.
Yeah, exactly. So
there.
Contempt is characterized by tension on one side of the mouth. So it's like this or like this. And sometimes we have that kind of side eye, like looking askance, what we call it. But the thing that we see the most often is this kind of quick tension. It's usually quite fast. Sometimes we hold it like looking at someone like really awkwardly, but it's usually a very quick flash. She did it immediately after context. Now, it's not happening very often with her, but it happened right after that answer. Here's what that is. She knows it's a shit answer. As someone who values information, intellect, as someone who corrects other people's words, she's aware of the fact that that was not a good answer. Look at it again. Play it again.
That is so wild. I'm just going to play. I'm going to turn down the volume a bit and play it again. I want to focus on when she finishes that.
If Skull was a person.
Recommendation. So I guess it was a suggestion. I don't know in what context.
Boom.
And it's a suggestion.
And that's different than a lip purse. That's different.
It's different than lip compression. Lip compression is usually throughout. So you might say something and you go like this, like tension all around.
And her lip compressions especially are square. They are square, straight down, straight down.
And they happen a lot. But in this case, it's just a quick boom on one side.
Interesting.
Dude, Contempt is the one that I'm not that big on micro expressions because when you try to catch micro expressions, you miss other things because you're really looking at their face. But Contempt is one that when I see that flash, I go, oh baby, I get excited. And sometimes I see it in my own. By the way, little tip for the behavioral artists, the ones who view the behavioral arts channel or watch my content. It's for me the one that I have the hardest time. I can't hide Contempt. So when I'm doing, because I try to be objective in my analysis, but every now and then someone irritates me, you see those flashes of Contempt. There was one in my video that I uploaded this morning. At some point I'm talking, it's towards the end. I'm just giving clues to those of you who haven't seen, my followers haven't seen the video yet. Towards the end, when I'm talking about certain behaviors, there's a very obvious flash of Contempt at some point on my face. While I was editing, I saw it. I was like,
I know which video it is too.
It's okay.
It's some of the first times I've ever seen you really crack, where that you're very good about even being neutral in your behavior and you're, because that's the thing, you can't fake some of these things.
You can't. Like, if you try to hide those things, you're going to look too robotic, and it's going to be weird.
Yeah. So that's
So
why
that was a good one. She just boom flashes
yeah.
contempt. So we have all these non-answers. We have dancing around the subject. She's never actually getting to an answer. We don't need behavioral analysis because she's not answering the damn thing. And then after, I don't know in what context, boom, contempt. She knows that that's not an adequate answer. She's not an idiot.
Mm-hmm. She's not. I want to pull this up real quick because this was a question to
we
you.
have to clarify, guys. Contempt, not content. Contempt.
Contempt.
With an MPT. Contempt means moral superiority. When we look down on something, so it could be self-contempt, like you're judging yourself or judging someone else. Not contempt.
Not that Mickey with a very generous super chat. Spidey, hi. Do you use the table of behavioral elements when you analyze Sally Smith? Just interested. Thank you both. That's very kind of you. Not that Mickey.
For context, the table of behavioral elements is Chase Hughes' baby, and it's a periodic table he made of behaviors linked to deception, all from research. So, like, if any study has found, with reasonable parameters, that this behavior is tied to deception, because the research disagrees a lot. So you have to look at the meta-analysis, all this stuff. It's complicated. He's included it there with how much strength it offers to a cluster, because one behavior is never enough. It's a great tool, but I mean, it's innate. Like, when you've done this for as long as I've done it, like Chase and I will talk, we don't sit there and like circle the squares and add it up. We just could see things like, okay, non-answer exclusion qualifier, the face of contempt. These are all things that enough. Okay, the blink rate just went up, non-answer, fluff. And we just know it's enough. The behavioral table of elements really lays it out for someone who's unfamiliar with it to look at it and go, oh, okay, and like kind of cross-reference. Great tool, but I'm not consciously aware of the table as I analyze.
That's interesting. I'm really glad that you caught that. I'm really glad you caught it. I'm glad you pointed it out too, because I completely missed it. So,
thanks, man.
Okay. Well, now that we've got that pulled up, let's talk about how she testifies to that same set of facts at trial.
Yes. Can we start with the Jenga tower of binders?
Yes, we can start with the Jenga tower of binders.
Okay.
This one, and I have a opinion as to why she did this, based on how she uses it later, that you haven't seen. So let's see.
Also, like, Rob, I don't know if it's just me, but did you get like painful flashbacks of Darrell Brooks?
The box fort.
Yeah.
That case was that was a case where you and I had to, when we did our coverage of that, we were filming for like 4 hours because there were so many exasperated looks that we had to kind of refilm because we were frustrated.
That box tower, bro. There were so many moments where I was like, huh?
So,
anyways,
Sally Smith entering the courtroom. I didn't catch what she said. I didn't catch the words. Did you catch what she says?
Yeah, it was something like, I didn't see it now, but I remember earlier it was something, let me just get my stuff. Something along those lines.
Like, excuse me, let me just get that further emphasizes the point I was going to make.
Binders.
Morning.
Good morning.
Tell us your name,
She's
please,
got the
ma'am.
green one.
Sally Marie Smith.
And what is your occupation?
I'm a pediatrician.
And where do you presently practice your profession?
I'm a partner in a pediatric general practice in St. Petersburg called Fifth Avenue Pediatrics.
And you have several other pediatricians that work with you in that practice?
Yes.
Okay. You're muted. Elaine, microphone.
Sorry. First and foremost, I desperately need someone to make a short, and maybe I'll make this for your channel, where she puts out the first one. She puts out the green one and just kind of pauses, and you hear Bon Jovi going, and I said, whoa, we're halfway there. And then just unpause and she keeps going. It reminds me of a magic trick. Like, I don't know, how did she carry all this? You know, like you see the magician show a little bag and they pull out like 1 box, 2 box, 3 box, bouquet of flowers. I could perform it for you guys if you want, but like, it's unbelievable. Like, she walked around with all this?
Yeah.
She had like a wheelbarrow or something?
No, I mean,
Hey, I'm good for her.
She was
She's ready.
carrying it in a bag.
Yeah, but this to me plays to, like, if we now just go to serious mode, this plays to me once again to that need for intellectual, to show the intellect, to say I'm qualified, I know my stuff. Look at all these documents I have. Look how prepared I am. I know stuff, and we even see it in her. Sorry, I was looking down at my notes when we were playing that. Is that the one where she corrects? I was not. No, that's in the next one we're going to look at.
Next one.
Okay. Binders, Jenga Tower, sorry. So we see her smile. That was interesting because in the whole depot, I don't think we saw her smile.
This is where I started to establish my baseline understanding of how she's going to testify. She presents well to the jury here. She does. When she sits, she turns, addresses them directly. There's eye contact. It's very, very, very different than how she engaged in her deposition. The eye contact and the face forward and up instead of down is very different.
There is a behavior, as a behavioral analyst, this has been like my one thing that I've never understood, that I've found no research to explain this. I don't know why it happens. I've asked a lot of my teachers. I don't know. I've never found an answer to my satisfaction. There are some people who smile while their mouth is still going downwards. So they're like this, but we still feel that they're smiling. And I've never understood how that works. I think it's the cheeks are rising. So you kind of get like I can't even fake it. You know, a lot of my viewers say like, I show the expressions that I talk about. That's one I can't fake. It's like
The stress, it's like a stress smirk,
but it's like, so look at when she sits down and when she acknowledges the jury,
she's almost doing it right here, almost in this freeze frame.
Yeah, but that's not a smile. We see when she acknowledges the jury, it's a smile. I would definitely classify that as a smile, but the lips aren't going up, and I don't get it. It's the cheeks and the eyes. I think you're right. Inelegant, very elegant answer for someone who's inelegant. There it is. Look at that. Look at that.
That's a smile.
I know it's a smile.
And genuine.
Like, if I tried to make that into an emoji, it wouldn't be a smile.
It wouldn't be, but it's unique that's unique to her. You just have to
recognize
it's unique
to certain people. And I think that's, earlier we're talking about how the eyebrows are furrowed and this is her always face, this kind of thing. I think it's baseline. Well, it is baseline. I also think it's idiosyncratic. I think she's often like this, but it's crazy how it goes to the point where even when she smiles, those corners are still going downwards. It's crazy.
So
upside down smile. I never understood that.
The one thing that I caught, there was one binder that she placed immediately in front of her, and when she places it there, I want you to this black binder there. Look what she does. So the first thing she does is she
once I got to replace my battery.
Okay, replace your battery.
This is why I pre-record. This is why I pre-record.
Pre-record. This is why he pre-records. This is why he pre-records. So while he's doing that, Matt Bond is over on Spidey's channel saying he's gonna make you a short. So
great.
I want you to look at this for a second. So she puts all her binders down, right? She stacks them. Look what she does with the last one. The black binder she puts in front of her. It's the only one she opens to check that something's in there.
Ooh, good catch. Maybe she forgot what it is. Look at the brows. There's like this moment of confusion there. She was like, oh, here are my 16, but wait, what was this one? Oh yeah, it could be that. Or like you said, just make sure there's something in there that she needs.
I didn't catch it during the first bit of testimony, but that document in there is a printout from her attorneys. It's an explanation on the HIPAA. And she tries to make an argument later when getting cross-examined on HIPAA and whether her access to the medical records was appropriate or not.
Wow.
As actually, and it's the only time she opens that binder, she pulls out this little sheaf of paper that's right there. When
Wow.
the question is asked, she pulls out the sheaf of paper and she says, and she starts reading off of the paper. Actually, I was allowed to under a HIPAA exemption, and that was an objection got brought right there because you can't, that's a legal conclusion. And you're then arguing law to the jury. So it was, when you wanted to play that binder clip, that was what I wanted to point to, because that's really significant going further that she checks it.
Love it. By the way, I want to clarify something for the upside down smile. I don't think it means much. I think that's just the way it is. I don't think it indicates that there was something, she's thinking of something sad. I don't think it means that. I don't think it means anything. I think it's just the way her face is. It's completely baseline. Her mouth is never not doing that. So at the very least, it's baseline.
Yep. So let's do this, because that was the.
She also know you touched on this, but she definitely acknowledges the jury. There's some eyebrow flashing here happening quite a bit more than during the depo. So she's a lot more social here. Emphasizing social tools. That eyebrows is social tool and for emphasis. So quite a bit going on.
This is one that I think that you and I have kind of, after watching a lot of this testimony, have a similar take on the. You made the comment, intellectual superiority is what she's used to. She's used to control in circumstances. She's very used to controlling conversations.
Yeah, Dr. House.
Yep. This is what happens when she gets her first objection.
Oh, is this the treatment thing?
What is a child protection team, and who constitutes it? Who are you working for at that time?
So the child protection teams, Florida has a kind of a model program for the country. And it was set up in the late 70s. I think that all children started.
Objection, Your Honor. This is beyond scope. Sustain. Move to strike.
Sorry?
Sustain.
Can we approach him?
Sure.
The surprise. It's like the genuine surprise.
Do you think it's like shock, right?
I mean, it's just
dead on. The eyes wide open. So alert, at the very least, alert, right? When the eyes are open, this is out of the University of Toronto. Chase always gives me a bit of pushback on this because there was research in America before, but the concrete research is out of Toronto. I stand by that. That when the eyes are wide open, we take in more information with our peripherals. So in things like anger, surprise, or fear, we see those eyes open up a little bit more because it's more input. You're absolutely right. There's something that's alert. It can be surprise, shock, not fear. Fear usually pulls back a little bit more. That's surprise or shock. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And every time that she gets objected to, she's not used to it. She's not comfortable. She's not used to being cut off mid-sentence. Even in depositions, you don't get cut off mid-sentence. So that one was.
Yeah, good point, Bia. Good point. Mouth open. So the intake of air. So surprise. That's most consistent with surprise.
Okay, here's treatment team.
And on December 13th, 2016, I realize you might not recognize a lot of the dates, but to put it in context,
I might have this out of order. Give me 1 second. Did this get played?
Yeah, no, this is a treatment plan.
It is, but I think this is the wrong one. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up a different one while I pull up the right one to this, because I wanted to play Mr. Hunter's questions and the other questions back to back.
Mm-hmm.
So let me do this. This is Tep Sanchez.
And Dr. Tep Sanchez contacted you regarding concerns that she had.
Yes.
And what did you do to tell us very specifically, and not at any length, if you would, what you did in response to that phone call?
I talked to her on the phone about, she was asking me about what to do about a possible case of, I believe her terms were Munchausen syndrome by proxy. And we talked about the kinds of things that are needed to assess that diagnosis, such as medical records.
Objection as to
What?
you can continue.
Great. Sorry.
And we also talked briefly, as I recall, about this specific case. And I tried to give general advice in terms of how pediatricians can approach concerns for Munchausen syndrome by proxy, or what I prefer to call medical child abuse.
Now, in this particular case, how did it come about that you became involved with Maya Kowalski?
So the main way I became involved was because there was a report concerning child abuse or neglect.
Objection. Discuss that. Thank you for your report.
Every time.
How dare you?
Every time.
This is,
Thanks for
Yeah,
Recovery
this
Addict.
is not someone who's used to being interrupted.
Recovery Addict has been live streaming this entire trial and has been having great commentary on it. So I'm
Awesome.
glad to see him in the chat.
Hi.
Yeah. So she's not used to being cut off. It was that, but this is a non-answer. It's a non-answer. It's how did you get involved? And it's the time that there was initial report. So I have the treatment team one queued up.
Do you notice, Rob, do you notice how the lawyer doesn't deserve her attention? It's just side eyes. Like her attention is on the jury. And it's just when the lawyer talks, it's, okay, come on, get on with it. Okay, now let me talk to the jury and tell them what's really what. Excuse me. And then when she gets cut off, it's like, how dare you? I was talking to my jury.
Yep. It's pretty wild how it happens.
You skipped the treatment team.
Where is it? Why am I having trouble finding it? Let me try this one. So I think this is the first part of the treatment team. Let's try
It's a good
that.
one.
had you
This one, yeah.
asked to meet with the treatment team at this point?
No, I was making that request in my role as the medical director for the child protection team to assist with that side of the situation.
Okay. Were you a member of the treatment team?
No, and I didn't
Oh.
attend this meeting.
Sorry,
no, it wasn't
Jules.
this. It was the one she goes,
No,
I
not
was
to
not.
this meeting.
Hang on.
It wasn't for me
Next one.
to be there. It was for them to have the discussion.
Ah,
Oh, look at that teeth. A teethy smile.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Wow.
You're gonna be very confused in a second.
But I want to see the one where she said I was not.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'm getting there. This has to be played in order.
Oh.
This is
Okay.
Mr. Hunter.
Okay.
Mr. Hunter is saying there was a meeting on December 13th that you arranged as part of the treatment team.
Okay.
And or as to meet the coordinators, right? So it's you were preparing this meeting, and she says, and emphatically says, listen to the emphasis she places on her answer, how proud she is of the answer. What if I told you that she was actually at that meeting and she gets called out on it and cross? And she explains, I'm sorry, I just wasn't there. So the emphasis on her
I
answer
attended
here.
this meeting.
It wasn't for me to be there. It was for them to have the discussion.
Ah. And you wanted to know what the
Oh. Ooh, okay. Play.
So she saw that email and said, oh, I remember this. This wasn't for me. This was for them to have the discussion
Oh, I see. Okay.
with the overemphasis. And
Right.
Attorney Hunter, you hear a long pause because he doesn't know what the hell to do because she gave an answer that he can't correct.
their consensus was, well, I mean, strike that, never mind.
Self-satisfaction. What do you think is going on here?
Self-satisfaction.
Yeah.
Self-satisfaction. This is
Self-satisfaction.
a
Got it.
very
She won the
gratifying.
intellectual debate.
It's a very gratifying answer to her, but she gave the wrong answer. And what you wanted to see was this one.
And
That's the one.
on
December 13th, 2016, and I
So
realize you might
now we're back to same meeting, December 13th.
recognize a lot of the dates, but to put it in context, by December 13th, 2016, now Maya had been at the hospital for what, 1, 2, almost 3 months?
Sorry, pause one second.
October 17th to December 13th would
Just real quick note, as soon as Maya came up, we see a bunch of heavy hair grooming and the chin comes in. So defensive, like anything we do to fix our appearance is called grooming. It means that our thoughts are internalizing and then the chin comes in. She's getting a little defensive there, but you keep playing. Yeah, grooming. Somebody called it in the comments. Good job, guys. Oh, 2 people. The behavioral,
Had been at the hospital
here,
for
man.
what, 1, 2, almost 3 months?
Yeah.
October
2 months.
17th to December 13th would be a little over 2 months, right?
Right. And you were still on the team.
I'm sorry, I have a comment here. This is an example of how baseline depo versus baseline trial testimony is very different in her recall function. So in depo, you remember she did the recall like looking up while looking down?
Yeah.
This one, she actually goes up, like goes the full up and eyes are up and everything's up.
Yep.
Sorry
Okay.
for cutting us off.
Were you not?
I was still the medical director of the child protection team.
Well, you were part of the treatment team, were you not?
I was not.
1001-020.
Actually, finish it. We'll talk
Is that
about it.
contempt?
Play it back.
Like the right side?
One moment in time is hard to tell. I have to see that.
1001-0200.
Not that I saw.
Did you or did you not confer with the team regarding creating a behavior chart? Bottom last 2 sentences. Highlight, please.
So,
did you or did you not become involved in creating a behavior chart for Maya Kowalski?
looking at this note, I think I misspoke earlier. The way that I didn't see any of these ahead of time. But the way the email was written, it was that they should meet, but it looks like I probably did actually attend that team meeting. And so it looks like these were the things that were discussed related to coming up with this list of things that would potentially help the court that was involved at the time.
Okay, what? Fluff. Non-answer.
No
Verbally,
answer.
Speech fluency. Blink rate is way up. Couple of flutters in there. Eye flutters because it's cool that she has the long eyelashes because even on the side we could see when the blink rate goes up.
She does a few big inhales too.
Chest breathing. A lot of exclusions, actually, not exclusions, but just filler words, actually type things. Can you go back to where you thought you saw contempt? I'd just like to see that in video. Right, I just actually want to look with everyone at that I was not part again.
On
I was not.
December 13th, 2016, and I realize you might not recognize a lot of the dates, but to put it in context, by December 13th, 2016, now Maya had been at the hospital for what, 1, 2, almost 3 months? 2 months.
October
2 months.
17th to December 13th would be a little over 2 months, right?
Right. And you were still on the team, were you not?
I was still the medical director of the child protection team.
Pause.
You were.
I know that looks so well. And I think a lot of people in the chat instinctively know that looks so well, which is she's correcting him as she kind of looks to the jury with a little smile. Like, I know the right words, not this idiot. You know what I mean? That's
well, there's a clarification that she's trying to make. When he says treatment team or he says team or he says something else, every single time she says the full qualifier, the full phraseology, I was the medical, her expressions every time she says it are identical. Every time.
Yeah. But right there, like with that little look to the jury, like, hey, did you guys get that? He doesn't know his stuff. I know my stuff. This who knows the stuff. That's what that look is. I'm 1,000,000,000% confident. I'm never that confident. Just looking at the jury, like, you guys get that? He's an idiot. I know the stuff.
Yep.
All right, now let's look at the
treatment team, were you
I was not.
Oh, dang, it glitched.
I was still the medical director of the child protection team.
Well,
You were part of the treatment team, were you?
I was not.
1001
Yeah, it's just
I'm
compression.
not 100% sure it's contempt. I think it's like just this
Just
smug,
compression.
yeah, just smug, like you don't know shit. That's what
was
I'm
not.
feeling there. So, but let's talk about like the possibilities of what that is and why clusters matter, right? Because there's two things there, but besides what's happening verbally, non-verbally, there's a verbal cue there that's really interesting as well, and it's the non-contraction. I was not I wasn't, I was not. And we pay attention to that because conversationally, typically we contract. I wasn't, I didn't, I couldn't, I wouldn't. When somebody non-contracts, so break that word up, it's not necessarily an indication of deception, but an indication of clarity. They very clearly want to make sure you understand this. So in this case, it's very possible. There's two possible things that are happening in this moment, and they're almost opposites. And it's weird how behavior does that sometimes, where something can mean its own opposite. Like if I'm in a public setting and I see a guy, standing like this, chest out, neck exposed, that could mean confidence. This is a confident person, or he's doing this to gain confidence, meaning he's unconfident. So sometimes we see those kinds of things. So in this case, when she goes, I was not, with that smile, there are two possibilities. There's one I'm leaning towards a little bit more, but let's consider both and see what the chat thinks. One possibility is a word I saw a few times in the chat, is duping delight. And duping delight is a small, and the research has shown this. It's a small smile we sometimes have when we're being deceptive, and it's the excitement of getting away with a lie. The problem with duping delight is this.
You got to break those words up.
Distinguishing
Slow down.
feature of, what's that?
You got to break those words up because I heard it the first time. Duping delight is one. Duping delight, right?
Duping delight. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Duping.
I just misheard it.
Yes, duping delight. Also, sometimes called duper's delight, but just the delight of duping. So, thank you. So, when we see duping delight, the problem with it is this: there's no distinguishing feature of the duping delight smile or smirk that would distinguish it from any other smile or smirk. So, a withheld smile would look exactly like duping delight. A small smirk would look like duping delight. Pride would look like duping delight. So it's a very difficult thing to call out. So for me, it's very rare that I call it out. Like if I know for a fact someone's lying and I kind of see that little excitement, especially like a game of deception, I might call it out, but rarely in analysis. That being said, in this case, that I did not with that smile could be duping delight. Like she knows she was. There's a possibility of that. But I think I'm leaning a little bit more towards just self-pride and the joy of correcting him. Like just full, like going after, like, no, I was not, you idiot. She takes joy in correcting him. I think that's what we're seeing there. So it's, I think that, so let us know in the chat. It could be the first would be like, she knows she was part of that team. So it's duping delight. But it could also just be like just this smug, like, no, you're very wrong. Especially that big exaggerated head gesture. Like, nope. No.
It's that she knows he needs her to be a part of the treating team. That's what it is. She knows that he needs, for his case, he needs her to be that. And she takes immense satisfaction in saying, I'm sorry, I know you want this to be true, but I'm going to tell you it's not.
Yep. Nope. It's that's what I'm seeing there. Like that's why I'm leaning a little bit more towards the second one, because it's not so much smugness. I see pride in that moment, and also the downfall of seeing the evidence that she is part of the team is hard. She falls hard from that. So that's why I think it's more likely to be she's proud and smug in that moment. That's what I think.
Yeah. So listen to how confidently she says, no, I'm not, and how quickly her tone, pace, and just everything changes.
You're the child protection team.
Well, you were part of the treatment team, were you?
I was not.
Yeah.
1001-0200.
Glasses on. What's this?
Did you or did you not confer with the team regarding creating a behavior chart? Bottom last two sentences. Highlight, please.
So,
did you or did you not become involved in creating a behavior chart for Maya Kowalski?
Looking at this
Filler fluff.
note, I think I misspoke earlier. The way that I didn't see any of these ahead of time. But the way the email was written, it was that they should meet, but it looks like I probably did actually attend that team meeting. And so it looks like these were the things that were discussed related to coming up with this list of things that would potentially help the court that was involved at the time.
Everything about her mannerisms change.
Yeah.
Everything.
It was
And
pride.
the other thing,
She's falling from that moment.
there's Anderson plays a trick there. It's not really a trick. It's a way of getting her. I think this is Anderson knowing how she's going to testify, knowing because when he suggests and he pulls that up, that's not for the purposes of proving the treatment team. That's for the purposes of showing her that note was entered on December 13th. He highlights that one little comment about a behavior chart. He doesn't care about that. He wants her to see December 13th because he knows that she's going to go down this road of not explaining not giving the answer to she didn't say behavior chart once. Instead, she focused exactly where he thought she was going to and tried to explain away testimony that she gave so confidently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, what was the other one that you liked? The medical.
That's as far as I made it with the live stuff. But you had other clips if you want to look at them. There might be an occasion or two where I tell you like, can we just go see that again? But you could show me anything.
The one that I do want to get to, or the two, is the medications. Because remember we talked about the medications in Depot and how she was dodging the question.
Yeah.
So this is the live.
And did you have any understanding about whether there?
Caveat: direct examination, friendly attorney, not adversarial, friendly attorney, direct examination.
Okay.
And did you have any understanding about whether there was an effort being made to wean Maya Kowalski's medication or reduce her medication as part of that?
I did not really, have any involvement with any of that. I believe at one point later in October, maybe.
Make sure.
Yeah. Can't lag, buddy.
Have any involvement with.
All right, this is gonna piss me off. I'm gonna let it go. We're gonna play it. If it lags, we're gonna go back to the beginning. We're gonna watch it all the way through. We're gonna go back to the beginning. It's only 51 seconds. 51 seconds.
Maya Kowalski's medication or reduce her medication as part of that effort?
I did not really, have any involvement with any of that. I believe at one point later in October, maybe right around now, October of 2016, that.
I swear, man. Come on.
Maya Kowalski's medication or reduce her medication as part of that effort?
I did not really, have any involvement with any of that. I believe at one point later in October, maybe right around now, October of 2016, that I, knew that was happening.
Okay. And did you?
It's crazy. After so many answers, that compression is
physicians
insane.
directing her
It's just
care,
based
or
on-
did you attempt to direct that care yourself?
I learned that from communication with the attending physician.
Lots of illustrators.
Lots of illustrators, lots of just being stuck in this.
Did you catch the eye flutter?
I didn't. Show me.
It's right about here.
Of that effort?
I did not
It's
really,
just doing a little bad.
have any involvement with any of that. I believe at one point later in October, maybe right around now, October of 2016, that I, knew that was happening.
I wanted to talk about this one too, because this is so accessing versus formulating.
Uh-huh.
So her eyes up when she's accessing and trying to recall. And then back there, you see her eyes forward, but dancing.
Yeah.
Like
I want
direct down
to
dancing.
dispel something here that again is a common myth in body language, and it's that the direction of the eyes can tell us if someone's being deceptive or truthful. So, Rob, what you did, and you talked about this with me, so I know you did this, is you looked at specifically this person, how they recall, because there is no evidence whatsoever to support that all humans universally go one way when we're making things up and the other way when we're actually recalling. It's silly to think that there's a generalization there. We all do all kinds of stuff with our eyes. Some people think this way. Some people even, there's even myths out there about auditory is, straight to the side and visual is far up. It's not that simple. It's a massive generalization and it's meaningless without baseline. But with her, we have a baseline. When she's reflecting on things, she tends to go up and search up there. And then when she's editing or self-correcting, she tends to go down here, which does happen sometimes with internal monologue as we're talking to ourselves. That is one of the ones that we see a little more commonly, or deep emotion, things sink. But all this to say, there isn't a generalization, but with her, yeah, we see the recall and the editing. So yes, sorry, go on.
I was just saying she's being very, like I said, the clips that I sent to you, because you saw this testimony in the depots and you saw how significant it was based on her stress level. This testimony is one of the key points to the plaintiff's case about whether the involvement of medications, and this text message in specifically of saying, not sure if it's already in process, but maybe take her off these meds. If that's a treatment decision, then the hospital is on the hook and she may be additionally on the, I mean, that turning point of if it's a treatment decision. So when she goes down like that and pauses and you see her eyes flash back and forth really fast, you get this indication that she is thinking very carefully about the words that she's about to say.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that was on direct examination. Cross-examination.
What's everyone in the chat is saying? Do proffer.
Oh, we're getting there.
Am I saying that right?
Yeah, that's the clip I played you where you and I were.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we gotta do that one. What is it? Sorry, I'm an idiot. What does that mean?
I'll explain it.
What does the word proffer mean?
Offer of proof outside the
Offer.
presence of the jury. So outside the presence of the jury, offer of proof. You have to tell me, the judge, what you're going to preview for the jury.
Got it.
And I will decide if it comes in or not. And if I prohibit it from coming in, that proffer, that can go to the appellate court to say, Judge, you were wrong. This should have come in.
Okay, cool.
I'm sorry, could you just state the question again one time?
Sure. Well, deciding what medications Maya Kowalski should be. Well,
I'm just
deciding.
going to dance
But I
around the
have to
time bar
know it's
until
meant
this
to
thing
stop or
stops
wean or-
freaking filtering.
Well, deciding.
I'm sorry.
Okay, Rob, breathe.
There was
This is
also quite a
fine.
bit of mouth shrugs in that last one. A lot of this raised mouth shrug. Just a note, mouth shrugging, any type of shrugging, whether it's the shoulders, the hands, the eyebrow, the mouth, or the head tilt. The best research on that, I talk about it a lot on the channel. It's one of my favorites. My followers know it. They could probably say it before I do. It's out of Université Paris-Nanterre by Camille Debras, and basically found that any type of shrugging denotes a personal disengagement. So it's I don't something. I don't know. I don't care. I don't have the capacity to do anything. With her, it's very epistemic, what we call epistemic shrugs. A lot of, I don't know how else to say this. I don't know what to add. I'm not sure. I don't know. Lack of knowledge gets that mouth shrug with her quite a bit.
Would you say that I'm showing contempt for YouTube right now?
I've been analyzing your face very little. I need to make a t-shirt that says friends don't behavioral analyst friends.
Yeah, friends don't do that to friends.
I think we
I'm
also.
sorry, could you?
That's fine. Go ahead.
No, say it.
There was somebody else earlier who had a suggestion for a t-shirt for something we said, but I forgot what it was. It was one of those stupid things I said.
I'm sorry, could you just state the question again one time?
Sure. Well, deciding what medications Maya Kowalski should be on or whether to take her off of medications is not part of your job description at child protection, is it? Or was it?
The
Is that
part
yes
about
or no?
Yes, but I have to explain.
Yes, it's part of your job to do that, to manage Maya Kowalski's medications.
May I explain?
Well, yes.
So the part that was part of the question was related to taking her off medications. In cases of medical child abuse, one of the things that is important to try to do in a controlled setting like a hospital is if a child is on medications that may not be necessary, that the treatment team would consider to wean those medications in that controlled setting.
All right, so were you part of the treatment team or not?
I guess it's sort of threading the needle.
What's
I wasn't writing any orders. I didn't tell them which medications to stop or wean or anything
Adapters
like
at the
that.
hand.
But as part of the whole evaluation of medical child abuse, there's a component of what happens when they aren't getting all these medications. And so that specific little part of it was within my role.
Okay, exclusions, like you said, that specific part of the thing, fluff, adapters are up, adapters are massage-like gestures. This has been highly tied to stress and deception in some research, actually even some meta-analysis research, that in deception we see those adapters spike. Adapters are self-soothing gestures, so anything like this, anything that's like a massage-like gesture, we're seeing some of that, some freezing.
My favorite was the sales pitch and the illustrators. I called it the sales pitch because you'll see a lot of people do it. For example, like if I'm about to make a point, and the chat will emphasize this too. This is a natural thing for me that I forget I'm doing. I'll do something like that. I'll put my hand through my hair. I can't control that. That is when I am about to make a longer monologue or I'm about to do something, I will do something that is a physical emphasizer. For her, the sales pitch is very interesting because you see the same sales pitch in the depot when she removes the glasses. So this is her selling.
So the part that was part of the question was related to taking her off medications. In cases of medical child abuse, one of the things that is important to try to do in a controlled setting like a hospital is if a child is on medications that may not be.
And where her hands are usually a lot more illustraty, they are outward, like a baseball fielder, right? Like accepting, welcoming. That is a very common gesture for someone. I learned in trial advocacy that when individuals are giving closing arguments to a jury or to a judge, illustrators are okay, but instead of doing anything closed like this or like this, open. Always open. Expose the palms of your hands. Always open. It is a come into this discussion with.
They tell you that at law school?
Yep.
That's awesome. Love it. So hand gestures are not universal. The orientation of hands are not universal. Across cultures, we see different ways of illustrating. But across cultures, there are two orientations that have a pretty universal meaning. One is this, palm outwards, which is a negation, so stopping to get someone's attention. So whether it's hi or stop or hailing a cab or just literally stop, this is pretty universal. And hands up is a form of exchange. So giving, taking, even if it's like, in communication, like giving someone time or energy or empathy or whatever it is, we do this when there's exchange of. So what you're saying is very much right. This encourages more open communication.
I mean, that's the problem with her body languages. She does really well. I made the comment when I was covering this. She does very well in front of the jury. She does. Everything about her.
She sounds informed, and she sounds informed, and it helps that there was one or two occasions where she was able to bite back and win the intellectual exchange. But there was a few times where she got slapped.
That was what I was going to say. You see how quickly her body language shifts. Like it's not just micro. It's massive changes in her entire posture, demeanor. When she's being cross-examined, that brow furrow is more pronounced when she's answering questions from Anderson versus Hunter.
Yeah.
So the last clip that I have is the one that's chat.
Do you think there was some passive aggressiveness in the beginning there towards the line of questioning?
Oh, there is.
Yeah.
There was debates and arguments because he tried to redirect her and say it's a yes or no question. She's not okay with that. This is the battle of the intellectual superiority that you mentioned before. She's not used to having people direct her.
Yeah. Have you seen the jury? Or you just
We
hear that,
know the composition of the jury.
but you haven't seen them.
We know that we know this from because the jury's allowed to ask questions, and in some of the questions they have actually, one of them is prefaced that they are retired law enforcement. Another one is some form of medical care on the jury, and I don't know who allowed that to happen in this case, but they did.
Because here's the thing. She comes off as credible, but she doesn't come off as likable.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, it's a tough one because it'll come down a lot to whether these people are looking to connect with her human to human or if they just want the facts, because she has a way of sounding like some people don't register that pompousness, let's call it, if they're getting the facts or if they feel like the person they're listening to is qualified. It's funny how for some people when they're listening to someone who 7 women 5 men who are listening to someone who's qualified, who knows the facts, they tend to turn a blind eye to attitudiness a little bit. And that's why she's been allowed, by the way, in her career to be this way, because it's been her job to speak of intellectual things intellectually. So she's been allowed to operate this way.
Jury analytics and statistics suggest that female jurors are more aggressive to female witnesses, that they are more skeptical of females testifying. And in this case, I want to go back on the credibility thing. You make the comment about being credible, but not likable. Credible as far as her body language, but a lot of the questions, a lot of her answers to the questions, I think lose credibility because she's very obviously verbally, while her appearance gives the impression that she is thoughtfully giving careful thought to the words she's choosing and testifying honestly. The selection of words to intentionally dodge the call of the question.
Yeah.
But
depending on how informed and qualified she sounds in not those moments, because we're nitpicking the moments where she's falling apart. And I haven't seen the whole thing, but if she's communicating enough competence in the other answers, they might not notice these things the way you and I would. Well, it's a might. I think they will. I think they will see that, when she's being asked about being on the treatment team and she can't give a straight answer, it's not a +1.
Hang on one second. I'm just previewing. Okay. Yeah. So the Covert video, this is the one. I don't know if we played this already. You have to tell me if we did. But this is the one that I titled and sent to you beforehand, where I was kind of, after watching this again, I chuckled again. I titled this one, Sally Smith Throws J Hatch Under the Bus.
Okay.
Did there come a point at which you became aware of any pictures or videos being taken of Maya?
Yes.
And tell us in general how that came about.
I'm not sure from the standpoint of the treating team at the hospital. From my standpoint, that was related to attempting to have some photo documentation as part of my evaluation and that could be available as part of the investigation.
Yeah, we played this one.
Was it your understanding? Well,
we did. Let me ask you a question. Is the hospital by any means her employer? Or is she employed by an independent?
This is an area where she makes the comment of threading the needle. She's not wrong. There's a lot. She has staff privileges, which means she's been given authorization to practice medicine and has privileges to practice at that hospital. She sits on several committees. She does not receive a paycheck. She volunteers. The hospital listens to her. The testimony was that she had an ID badge that said Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital, had her ID and name on it. This is a question that the jury has to decide. It's not open and shut.
Because there's a very me versus them attitude in this answer.
Yeah, there is. And this answer is the most hard line that she has drawn a position. I don't know that Mr. Hunter knew she was going to come in and say this, because previously she has been so wishy-washy. She has lived in the gray area of, discussions. This is the only time she doesn't waffle. This is the only time in all of her testimony, because you remember the conversation she was having about the medical treatment. Does that make you part of the treating team? And she goes, maybe, maybe not, maybe not, maybe not. This is the only time when she draws that hard line distinction. For my purposes, for their purposes.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's something to be said about that. So here's the thing. If as a witness she was going to create that distinction and ultimately defend them, that would be a power move. That would be a strong move, because it's like, I'm not defending them because I'm one of them. I'm separate from them, and I'm still defending them. But to separate herself from them, to kind of blame shift, and this is what I was asking you earlier, and this is what I was asking you before the stream. What's her interest in doing that? She's scot-free. She's in the clear.
What this does is this takes the hospital's ability, hamstrings the hospital. So the hospital right now can't say, we just did it because Sally Smith told us to. No, she has made it very clear what her intentions were, and they were for the purpose of her investigation. But she also drew a very clear line to say the hospital had an independent choice to do this. They had their own purposes. That's for them to explain. And the problem is that puts the onus on the defense to explain those purposes, and they have not done a good job of that.
Can I ask you a question?
Always.
As a lawyer, are you allowed to ask questions along the lines of, so Ms. Smith or Dr. Smith?
Dr.
Would you
Smith.
be allowed to ask Dr. Smith if your relative, if your daughter, if your niece, if a relative of yours was treated exactly the way Maya was treated?
No.
How would you feel? You're not allowed to ask that.
Nope.
Why?
Because you're not allowed to give. It's emotionally persuasive. It's an emotionally manipulative question. It's an argumentative question, because you're not focused on facts in that moment. You're arguing. You're focused on argument. You're trying to argue the facts. You're trying to say, if your daughter was, that's an argumentative question.
Is there any way you can get the jury, maybe in closing statements or something, to think to themselves, if your daughter was treated this way, it would be
That's
unacceptable?
why I say in argument, like, you're
Right.
allowed to argue the evidence to the jury and present the argument to them, but you can't do it during the course of eliciting facts.
Got it. Because that's just speculation. It's not fact based. Because I would love the jury to be told. I mean, if I would love, meaning if I was prosecuting this, I would love the jury to be asked the simple question: if your child was hospitalized, would you want this woman making decisions? And I just want them to marinate in that. If I was prosecuting this, I know nothing about lawyering, and you can tell me if there's something stupid about that. But at the end of the day, you want to elicit their gut feeling about her.
Yep. And the problem is that this is what brings us to this clip. This is the proffer. This is outside the presence of the jury. So the jury is no longer in the room. She's allowed to be direct and confrontational because the jury's not there. Mr. Hunter wanted to present evidence of the investigation. He wanted to go more down the road of everything the hospital did was in furtherance of the investigation and should be protected by immunity. The judge said, no, you can't do that. It was a double-edged sword, because the plaintiffs, had the defense gone down that road of, we want to be protected because this was proper in the course of the investigation, the plaintiffs would have been able to cross-examine her and make her out to look kind of the way that she did. You asked the question, if you had a child, would you want this person making medical decisions? I am usually very careful in how I address answers like this, but in this regard, my answer is absolutely not. This person has zero business being near children, making decisions in this regard.
Rob, stop talking. Rob, stop talking. Stop talking. No, stop talking. Stop
am.
talking. You'll tell me after the
I'm-
stream. Stop talking.
It's just frustrating because it's this bit.
Rob, as a friend,
I
stop
know.
talking.
I know.
Okay.
Told you I get emotional sometimes. I
I
can't.
get it.
help
I get it. I get it.
Yep.
Do you not
talk out-
understand
I'm here for you after the-
the
I'm here for you after the
importance
stream,
of
buddy.
putting
Unload.
both sides of the
Hang on. Back it up.
Do you not understand the importance of putting both sides of the story in your report?
The both sides of the story is the responsibility of the various people who are going to present it to the court. My job as the medical director for the child protection team is to do what I need to do to assist the investigators and the detectives and the attorneys that are involved in the case as to whether there is evidence to support a diagnosis of whatever type of child abuse is being assessed. So it's not my responsibility to lay out some whole long argument about what it might be otherwise if I have extensive evidence to support that it's a type of child abuse.
Go to the beginning. Notice the eye block on various people. She doesn't know who.
Mhm.
She doesn't know who. Various people.
And to people in the chat, I do appreciate that Spidey is a friend. Spidey's one of the only people that I will listen to when he says stuff like that. I do
No,
trust
listen,
him.
Rob, sorry. You know what? It wasn't my place. If you want to finish
No,
that thought,
it was.
I just
No,
wanted you to
it
take
was.
a second. I just wanted you to take a second.
It was,
If
and
you,
it was.
if you
it
want
was-
to finish that thought, listen, I think you started the thought enough for us to get what you're saying, and you're not looking at this as a lawyer. You're looking at this as I don't know if your followers know your life situation, but as someone who has young people that he cares very much about. If you want to finish the thought, please do. It's just I
No,
wanted you to take a second to be clear-headed
I
before you
don't.
shared it.
I don't. It's just that reminder. I have young people in my life, nieces
I
and
know.
nephews who I care emphatically for, and I also practice an area of domestic relations litigation. I engage in this type of. I see these dependency actions and people being taken away a lot. These cases affect me. They affect me. It's why I cover this trial, and I got
know.
overly emotional. That's
Yep.
what it was.
I know, and I love you.
Thank you.
I didn't
So-
even say it back, guys. You didn't even say it back. It's on
I
record.
love you too. You know I love you too. You know I love you too.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah. Just yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Spidey and I-
know, guys. By the way, if I cut him off, everyone in the live chat right now, it 100%. I know you guys understand Rob, and you know what he was going to say, and you get it. But it wasn't for that I want him to just take a sec. It's for the fact that this video stays up forever.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
it.
And it is having friends like this that's why I've been streaming this trial very just myself, because I usually trust myself, but it's nice and I'm careful about who I allow to talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah. But you said you wanted to play the beginning part of this again.
Yeah, just look at the eye block when she says various people.
Do you not understand the importance of putting both sides of the story in your report?
The both sides of the story
Whoa!
is the responsibility of the various people who are going to present it to the.
So flutter, and then the various people, eye block, and then a flutter. She's trying to see who she can blame shift to in this moment. She doesn't know. She doesn't know.
Well, and what's interesting is I called out because she's a single blinker. This is a weird thing. There are single blinkers and double blinkers, where if you're a single blinker, every blink is 1, where if you're a double blinker, every blink is 2, and it depends on the baseline of who you are. There are people that are natural double blinkers, where it's within their baseline to have that double blink. She's not. She's 1 blink.
Yeah.
When you
It's
notice,
so good. I'm learning.
well, when you notice the 2, you notice the 2. They're noticeable.
Yeah.
This one, this question, this was something I don't think that she expected the question. I think that this is defensive. I think that she's in the eye block immediately following it. It induces high stress, and then you have her eye blocking. So let's watch it. Let's watch that series again. Then Spidey, you can explain what the eye block is.
Your report.
The both sides of the story is the responsibility of the various people who are going to present it to the court. My job as
So let's talk about eye blocking. Eye blocking is one of my favorites because the research shows that it's even done in blind children. Children were born blind, and I'd love any behavioral research where the subjects that were being observed were born blind, congenitally blind, is awesome because we know that the behaviors we're seeing are not learned by observation, and we know that they're not. For example, with eye blocking, it's not to block off distractions because a blind person wouldn't have to do that. So closing the eyes helps us focus. It helps us keep thoughts where we want them. So think of the eyes as a garage door to your thoughts. When you're trying to hold on to a thought, you close the eyes. When you're trying to focus and try to catch a thought, you also, when you're trying to keep a thought out, like an unpleasant thought, they just go, you get bad news or something, you close your eyes and you don't want it near you. We also see this in very emotional moments. Like watch, someone winning a competition show on TV, American Idol or one of the Got Talents or something like that. You often see this. They want to hold on to this moment. So holding on to thoughts or not letting thoughts in. In this moment, one more place we see it a lot is in this, shit, that was not good. That's what we're seeing in this moment. She knows this wasn't a good look. The fact that she's trying to blame it on someone, she can't do it. And that eye block, it's hard to know in that moment if it's specifically because it was negative and she just doesn't want to look at this train wreck she created, so she's kind of distancing from it, or she really needs a sec to formulate something better here, which is why when she opens those eyes, we see a quick flutter. It's not exactly clear why, but in that moment with that eye block, she knows that this is not a good look.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So you've got the real quick, we're in high stress territory, and then I'm going to take a moment, kind of the oh shit, recalibrate, quick flutter, and then the explanation. Man, she's a book. Muted. Helene.
Sorry, buddy. I wasn't muted that whole time.
No, not the whole time. I said she's a book. You can.
Yeah,
she's
hates
readable.
This. She doesn't like, because here's the thing, man. I think she's gotten used to not having to answer to anyone, and now she has to, and really doesn't want to.
Oh yeah, she doesn't like being in on this side of the questions.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting. Let's see if we've got, because we have a lot of super chats to catch up through.
Let's go.
It's been a very, very generous community, and I'm sorry I haven't pulled stuff up earlier, but we were in the middle of it, and I know for a fact Spidey gets distracted. If I pull things up on the screen, he focuses on this little part of the screen. I guarantee you it's 100% because he's not used to live streaming, and every time I've been on a live stream with him, I pull up a chat and you see go down, squirrel.
Yeah, there's people here.
It's one of my favorite things too. So I'm very careful about what I pull up so that he doesn't get distracted. Casey Cat, hey Spidey, great to see you and Rob feeding off each other. Rob has been a great student.
He's not a student, guys. Sorry, one sec. I just want to make this clear. Thank you so much for the comment. Really appreciate it. Hi, good to see you. Rob's not a student. Rob could school me when it comes to certain things easily.
Thank you, Spidey. I do learn a lot. I like watching this stuff and I like talking to you about this.
Dude, same.
I like explaining the law side because when you come to me with questions, you're like, why am I seeing this? I was like, what if I told you about this? And you're like, oh, and I'm like,
yeah, but dude, even behaviorally, there are certain things in the way people recount things, and you see behaviors that I miss. It's happened numerous times.
Well, and you catch everything that I get to. I go back and I said, that's why I was thinking that. I love it. Tammy Shea, thank you. I thoroughly enjoyed your explanations. No, that's too much. Summaries. You deserve 200K and more. Thank you. Jerda K, thanks for becoming a member. Kidada Smith, thank you. Very kind of you. Harriet Cadle, thank you very much. Susanna Bunnickwatch, thank you very much. Sardanisms has been a member of my channel for 9 months. This case is a lot, but I'm trying to watch for you two. It's about explaining it. This is learning. This is a great opportunity for us to learn. Everyone. I learn, Spidey learns, the chat learns. Always.
Yeah.
Jan, thank you. Love your collabs. Sally Smith should be scared of both of you. I don't think so. Is there anything, is there something both of you can see? Why Sally Smith made me feel so uncomfortable? I think we explained it. This was early on the stream.
Yeah, I think we covered that.
Cheryl, thanks for becoming a member. Michael Corey, thank you. Not a member, but definitely a fan of you both. May have to reconsider my non-membership status. Thank you,
Don't worry
Michael.
about it.
Kind of you. You participating. You don't have to be a member to participate. I don't
Yeah.
AWOL.
I say this all the time. Like membership is really cool. It's really cool to connect with the members and know like those people who are like, just giving a little extra, contributing to the channel, helping us build the community. But like and I don't mean this to be in any way like against memberships, but like, if you're not in a situation where you can do that, I don't care like
Don't.
at all. And if you're in a situation where you think you could take that $5 and go buy a coffee for a homeless person once a month, go do that. Like, I love my members. I will always be thankful for my members. Rob's the same. We talk about how thankful we are that we get to do this. But if that money belongs somewhere else, please, 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 I'm sure I speak for both of us when I say we love you all, whether you're members or not. Members are just a cool way for us to know, like, okay, here are some regular members of our community that we get to hear from. And, I just know a little bit more about my members because I kind of see those comments in different sections. That's it.
I
love
it.
everyone. And thank you for all your comments and contributions.
Roro, Maya was released to her dad a week after her mom passed away. Yes, she was. Taja girl, I hope you're feeling better today, Rob. Spidey was saying, what's wrong with your voice? I was like, I'm still fighting off this sickness because this trial coverage is going to keep me fighting this until the trial is done. Laura Christine gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much. Crazy Cat Queen became a member of your channel, Spidey.
Oh, thanks.
Elle gifted 10 Law and Lumber memberships. Thank you. Very kind of you. Patty, Jacques, you do such a wonderful job. Thank you.
I love how you pronounce Jacques. That was so nice.
Oh, I get stumped on a lot of names, but I try very hard. Rihanna Oman became a new member of your channel. Canonical Heat gifted 10 memberships. Thank you, Canonical Heat. Harriet Cato gifted 10 memberships. Thank you. Katie L as a new member. Thank you very much. Joe Lynn Elliott, you both are in my top favorite channels. This is like Christmas for me. We don't get to hang out nearly enough because we're both very busy. And it's rare that we have cases that intersect in this way. There is a particular individual, and if you are a participant or subscriber to Spidey's channel, you need to suggest that maybe he would want to take a look at one more bit of testimony from another witness in this case, Kathy Beatty, who's the licensed social worker. She was the hospital's side to the Sally Smith discussion. So she gave depositions, and she's being called on Monday Live. So same kind of thing. But go make those comments on Spidey's channel to suggest that he should look at it. Energy became, I like the name Energy. Yeah.
Energy,
new member of Spidey's channel.
Oh, sweet. Thanks.
Selena gifted memberships. Melanie became a new member of your channel.
Whoop, whoop.
Crazy Cat Queen gifted memberships.
So
Crazy Cat Queen reciprocated and gifted 20 memberships on your channel.
What?
Cheryl Arner became a member of your channel. Tamara, thank you for commenting over on Spidey's channel. Birth of a live streamer. Kind of. That was in the beginning. Giuseppe gifted a membership. Thank you very much. Fiona gifted 10 memberships. Thank you. Very kind of all of you. Marilise LaRue. Hi from South Africa. The Rugby World Cup champions. Love the coverage, insightful and educational. Cool. That's the absolute goal. KC Cat gifted 10 memberships. Thank you. D became a new member. Thank you very much. Yellow Pill 17. RN here, registered nurse here in Florida. She talks and gestures like every hospital administrator at my job. So I feel like the way she presents herself in court is how she does while in her, quote, work mode. Interesting. So it's like putting on the mask. Like when I talk about when I'm an attorney, I put on a different, like when I put my suit on, that's my coat of armor. Okay.
It does have a very like stern, listen guys, like we can rip her apart and stuff. I'm sure her job can't be easy. I don't think I would fare well in a job like that. You have to make a lot of difficult decisions. So I could see how people who are in a position like that have to develop this very straightforward way of communicating, and she's bringing, it's just her life. I get it. Thank you for that comment.
Yeah. It's a very insightful comment. M. Young, as a young executive recruiter, my body language is a skill I'm constantly trying to improve. Thank you both. Thank you, M. Young. Karate Cat Mom became a new member on your channel.
How do you know it's my channel or your channel?
It's got a little link on it. You can see it. I can see it when I pull up
on the link.
On the side, on the start when I'm in the starred section of our chat on StreamYard. Luna Freya, thank you very much for being a member. Yellow Pill 17, part 2 of the registered nurse in Florida. I have my different, quote, hats, like how I act in my RN role is different than how I present myself in a student nurse practitioner role. That's how I am at Publix. Correct.
Cool.
I
Awesome.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Karate Cat Mom gifted 5 behavioral arts memberships.
What are these cat moms?
Law Talk with Mike. Thank you, Law Talk with Mike. Mike came in. Congratulations on 200K for a guy who's legitimately cool in real life. I know he also has had the poor judgment to hang out with Law Talk with Mike. Yeah, Mike and I got to hang out in Chicago. He made me drink Malort.
Drink what?
He made me drink Malort, which is
Malort?
it's terrible. Don't
I don't know
ever.
what that is.
You can start a lawnmower with it, but that's about all it's good for. Courtney Michelle, your favorite color is purple. Mine is too. I just bought a purple car today. Well, congrats on owning a purple car. Jolyn Elliott, the bromance on display is seriously the best. Thank you, Rob, for considering my chat about getting Spidey in on the case. Of course. Of course. It was suggested to me when we saw Sally Smith depos, and I did. I think I texted you that night. Bon, I got my mom watching this now. Could you do like a 30-second how did we get here? Go to the very beginning of the stream. I give a recap of the case, how we progressed to this point. So it's played at the very beginning. Matt Bond, thank you very kindly for the chat on Spidey's channel. Sup, Spiffy, Legal, Mumbo, Jumbo, Talkie Brother from another mother, and Spiffy, Psycho, Mumbo, Jumbo, Talkie Brother from another mother. Sam Powers says hi.
Sam Powers, what up? He's an awesome illusionist from Australia.
Oh, cool. Unnamed Firestorm, it's the dynamic duo, Spidey Wood.
Wood Spider.
Whiskey Sour.
No, wait, it was what was it? Mental Lumber.
Mental Lumber, the Mental Lumber one. Oh, God, that one. Whiskey Sour, what kind of behaviors will we see if she has a personal bias about the others being asked about? Can we see whom she blames for being there, for being here? I don't know that we can read into that. I think we covered it a bit on the when she distanced herself and created that line. Yep. Kayla Toth, the organism does what has made the organism successful. Thoughts on Sally in this regard?
Kayla Toth likes to watch the behavior panel. That's something Greg says a lot. The organism does what has made the organism successful. I think that relates to what was said earlier when the nurse, there was somebody who's a nurse, who's a registered nurse, who commented earlier and said, like, this is how all the administrators at the hospital are. This relates exactly to that. Like, this is the way Sally has survived in her profession.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she's not just survived, she became that level doing that.
She is a powerful woman. I don't know if I'm going to get roasted for saying this. You could tell in her demeanor that she's a badass. Like at work, like she puts a solid foot down. Yep. And there's repercussions to that. It led to, I think, intellectual arrogance where she doesn't like to be questioned and stuff. But behind that, if we take it a couple of steps back, there's a badass woman.
There's a commentator that is a sports commentator who says, I don't mind trash talk when it's the team actually takes the field and does the work and puts if you're going to put your foot down, you put your foot down. You just have to be willing to accept the fact that there can be consequences for being wrong if you get to that point. Yeah. She's definitely in that put the foot down point, and she's here and she's testifying. So yeah. Mary Coppola, someone in the chat nicknamed her Sidestep Sally. Oh, I love that. Thank you both.
That's good.
That's pretty good. K-Rab, for those interested in the article about Sally Smith, just Google Bad Medicine Tampa Bay Times and it will pull up the article. It's also in USA Today. Interesting. So there's criticisms of her in those publications. I didn't realize that. Katie Artist 94 on your channel. Hi, Spidey and Rob. Love your channels. I actually have CRPS in my feet. This case has been frustrating and sad. Thank you for covering and bringing awareness. Thank you.
Sorry to hear that.
Kate. Sorry to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Spiffy Chew on your channel. Do you want to try and read this? Here you go. You read this one.
The spiffiest spiffy that ever spiffied. My bestie says hi, Rob and Spitty. Floofy says meow. Great.
Thanks, Matt. Light Breeze B, thank you, Rob. That was the only way for me to follow this trial. Your sensitivity, what attracted me to continue following this trial. You are great.
He is great.
I try to be. Even though I see this every day, I still have personal moments where I get frustrated, but I do try to be. Allison Becca, How about she always says the child and never uses the name Maya? Spidey had talked about that at some length. That bothered me in the most, how she distanced herself from a real person.
Yeah, that's so
Medical-
when I was bringing it up, it was more so like, because the jury heard that testimony, it's not so much because we're talking about how like it's just force of habit, right? The way you say the client, my client, as opposed to say their name. It's just the way the industry works. I think it's more so for me like that the people hearing this from the jury or even the people watching on
perception.
YouTube, it's like she has a name. It's Maya.
Yeah, it's the perception. It's the choice of words and the demeanor. Like, you just need to know your audience, know the crowd. M. Young, new member on your channel.
Whoop, whoop,
Nymoon,
whoop, whoop.
gifted
Thank
5
you.
memberships
Wow.
to you.
Good.
You have a lot of new members today.
I know. Like I think my members quintupled.
CK Dexter, hey, and Rob, do you tell your clients should be wearing their favorite color tie? No, I don't. Or do you just let them notice it and not notice it? I don't tell them. I don't want them thinking it's fake. I want them to notice it. And if they do, and if they don't, it doesn't bother me. What it does, it also makes me feel good. So it's a way of reminding me what's important in that case.
And even if they don't notice it, it'll just, because it's their favorite color, it'll make them feel at peace and make them feel happy whether they register it or not.
Yep. Kadata Smith gifted 5 memberships. Thank you. As me, thank you very much. Lindsay, thank you. I find it interesting that she refers to Maya as the child almost exclusively, never by name or even the patient, which is the more common for doctors in my experience.
Oh, interesting. The patient would that be different than the child?
This is overlap into the legal side. DCF refers to the kids as the child, not the patient. So if she's involved in as many removal proceedings, because we're in court, it's the minor child. Jack Kowalski, Maya Kowalski are the biological parents of the minor child. Maya Kowalski, born this particular date, here and after referred to as, quote, the minor child. That's how it's referred to in pleadings. And it's also, there's an inherent discomfort in attorneys when we, in our legal pleadings, I will not use the child's first name. I feel like I want to create distance between the law and the existence of this child, the person, Maya, or whoever the child is. That's why I won't use their first name, and privacy. I just don't like putting that out in pleadings. Melissa Smith on your channel, Spidey, if you were in the gallery and could see the entire jury, how close could you guess the outcome? Don't be humble.
Don't be humble. I would have inclinations. It's like, here's the thing. For me, live feedback is quite important as well. Sometimes if I want accuracy, like when I do my cold reads, there's something you'll forget about cold reading. When I do cold reads, I don't just monologue at the person for 10 minutes on stage. I get their feedback. I say something, they nod. I catch something in that nod. I get a bit of resistance. I go a different way. I'm constantly adjusting. So if I'm just sitting there watching, it depends, Melissa. It depends on what we see. If we see, like, for example, a jury full of people that every single time Sally gets caught, they celebrate. They're happy. Every time she stumbles on her words, and every time she tries to say something, you see eye rolls and they break. If I see that, I'll give you a confident answer. But if I'm seeing, nothing too clear, mixed, it really, really depends. There are cases where I'll see people and go, I know for a fact what's going on here, or not for a fact. It's never for a fact, but with damn near certainty. And other times where I go, I can't really tell. It's like the weather. I always compare behavioral analysis to the weather. There are times where a weather person looks at the sky and they go, we know with utmost certainty it's going to rain tonight. And so they look and go, we don't know what the hell's going to go, what's going to happen.
Yeah. Whiskey Sour, thank you, Spidey. I feel an appeal to her intelligence and authority, i.e. you had the hard job of making the call no one else would. Interesting. Jonathan Beatty, love when you two collaborate together. So much love and respect. Thank you. Me too. Lori Herget, thank you, Rob. Check out USA Today article on bad medicine. We talked about that earlier. There's a clip of Sally Smith talking to medical students at JHatch, very telling about her approach. Interesting. I'll check that out. Kayla Toth, thank you. She is distancing herself from Maya by saying child. That's possible. Yeah. Erica Dickerson, she has done this to other families. There is.
Listen, sorry, one sec. I know we're on the attack Sally train, and you know me, like I always play devil's advocate. I always like to balance it out. Even when I'm certain of something, I question my own certainty. Unless she is a horrible monster of a woman, when she thinks of Maya, there is pain there. There is sadness there. There is. Like her, she knows that whether it's her or her team or something she was part of led to a horrifying outcome. So yes, distancing is to be expected unless she is a monster of a human being. And I see how she's arrogant. I see how she's smug. I see how she's, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyways, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I can't speak. And so
That's
on and so
okay.
on. She's a lot of things. But unless she's a horrifying monster, when she thinks of Maya and her mother and the Kowalskis in general, it does cause pain. It has to.
I don't disagree. Sarika Kishore, Rob, congrats, Rob, for 200K. Love the combo with Spidey. Sally Smith's behavior is so contemptuous it puts you off automatically. Thanks for bringing some levity in the tragic case.
Yep.
I try when I can. Audacious. She wasn't ready, especially for this jury. It's been interesting. The jury asked questions. It's very curious. Lita Randolph, did Spidey do the analysis of Maya when she took the stand in court? No, he has not.
I don't think I'd be able to survive that.
It's tough. She does very well. She's composed. A behavioral clinical psychologist on YouTube said she was honest without a doubt. Without a
By the
doubt.
way, I want to clarify something because the chat's riling up a little bit for this statement that I made. I'm not saying she regrets it. I'm not saying she doesn't think she did the right thing. I do think she thinks she did the right thing. I think she will burn on that bridge. She will die on that hill and
go to the mat.
She did the right thing. She believes that. I'm saying when she thinks of Maya, this girl who lost her mother, there's sadness associated to what happened, the outcome. Not saying she regretted it. Don't put words in my mouth, guys. Not one part of me said she regrets her decision. Or maybe I misspoke and said something like that. I'm not sure. I apologize if I did. In that case, thanks for bringing it up. I'm not saying that. I know she's arrogant. I know she's convinced that she did the right thing. We've been saying that the whole stream. But I'm just saying, when you think of a girl who lost her mother and this terrible outcome, sadness has to be part of the equation unless you're a horrible person. Rob, is that clear, or am I still
No, that's
wrong?
clear. That's clear. It's a statement regarding people in general. People are allowed to create their impressions of individuals. What we're just observing is that there's another side to that person. I've tried to be clear about this. We only get to see certain aspects of these people, and it's in limited settings where they're in court being questioned, asked questions they don't like. We don't know what's going on in their day-to-day life. And
Yeah.
I don't go beyond what I see in the courtroom. Yeah. Baby Gator, excuse me, while I stack these binders and I'm never going to use. Yep, K-Rab. Rob, can she legally print out and keep these copies of Maya's records legally in her capacity as having performed the medical evaluation? Yes. Jade, very late, but seeing you guys live. Love. Thank you. Emma Daisy, she had a lot of Botox. You can tell her by her nose creases. Then you have Botox wrinkles elsewhere. A classic telltale from prolonged use is nose wrinkles on the sides. I did not know that. Lindsay, thank you. I smile like that sometimes as a result of people making fun of how my eyes look when my whole face scrunches into a more conventional smile. When I was a kid, I'm hyper aware of it in situations where I feel insecure. Interesting observation, and thank you for sharing it, Lindsay. I didn't know that. Katie Artist, to you, Spidey.
We did this one.
Oh, yeah, we did. Crazy Cat Queen, thank you. Question: I carry a ton of books. It's 2 classes because I'm so scared that I might need it and not have it. Could it also be that she feels more secure with her binder for it? 100%. Yes, I made that comment before.
100%.
I called it depot scarring. When people have been deposed, she's been deposed 5 times. She knows better to have everything with her. Lita Randolph, question for Spidey: has it been more difficult to assess behavioral norms since people are been having Botox and facelifts? Does it become difficult?
Yes, of course. So we see, like, especially for someone like me who looks a lot for those eyebrow flashes and things like that, there are things I'm not going to see that I want to see. So I have to focus on other things, maybe a little bit more statement analysis, look for it's, you work with what you can. Yes, it is tough. But we figure it out.
Mandalore Wise, thank you. I know that this is focused on the body language, but I'm noting the manipulation of her insisting to mention that she prefers medical child abuse over Munchausen's by proxy. She's forcing abuse as a fact, not a possibility. She volunteers quite often that she prefers that term. It's not whether it's medically appropriate, but she does volunteer often that she prefers the use of that term. Spiffy Chew, hi from the spiffiest spiffy that ever spiffied, and Matt Bond's brain.
Oh my God, back with the spiffies.
There's a lot of spiffies. Lee Alberta gifts $2 to your channel. Sandy gifts 10 memberships to your channel. Sandy's one of my mods who's been
so fantastic. This is amazing.
K-Rab, her being part of the treatment team is or not is critical to if J. Hatch is liable. Her expression strikes to me that she is saying, see, jury, he doesn't know what he's talking about. In my opinion, the jury saw through it. That was with regard to the confidence that she exhibited. Matt Bond, done and tagged you both. Sally Smith, prayer for Fort. Okay. Thank you, Matt Bond. Much appreciated, sir.
Oh,
Tamara
cool.
Cartwright.
Was that for the short?
The
About halfway
short.
there.
Yeah.
I got to see that. Can't wait. Thanks, man.
Tamara Cartwright, can we talk about her voice bouncing around? We mentioned that. I mentioned that at the beginning. I think that's baseline for her.
Yeah. But it does go up and down. Like when she's very convicted, it goes
does.
up and she's on the offense, and on the defense, she softens.
It does.
Oh,
It's
happy
Joe
birthday.
McKinley, and this is on your channel. So I'm 52 minutes behind, but the stream is made my birthday and in England. So not even an hour into my birthday. Fascinating as ever. Thank you. Happy birthday. It's Joe McKinley. I hope you have a wonderful birthday. Joshua, super sticker on your channel. Lady Drake became a member of your channel. Joshua became a member of your channel. Lady Drake gifted 10 behavioral arts memberships to your channel.
Thank you. My God.
These are my mods. Rachel Dueck is a very generous member of my channel who is a new member of yours and gifted 5 memberships to your channel. Rachel Dueck says her answer felt like she was buying time. That's possible. Olivia Kelly, loving the commentary. Rob and Spidey, so good. Thank you. Nye Moon gifts 5 more memberships to your channel.
This is great. Thank you.
Lucy P, it's palms up. Please believe me.
So it can. No, let's talk about that. It can.
Yeah.
So palms up is asking for something or giving something or some sort of exchange. You can't look at one gesture and immediately assume that it means please believe me. It can be a plea, but it can also be, like when a homeless person is asking for something or someone's asking for forgiveness or this gesture, we intuitively know you're asking for something. So could it be you're asking to be believed? Absolutely, but it doesn't only mean that, but it can.
Yep. Rachel gifts memberships. Thank you, Rachel. Where Leanne became a member of your channel. Gifted 5 memberships to your channel. Claude Simeon, how best to minimize known weak points under cross? How best to minimize known weak points under the cross examination? You don't minimize them. You just answer the question directly and you live with it. When you try to minimize, you get in trouble. Canonical Heat, just a thank you for this, guys. Thank you, Canonical Heat. Much appreciated. Snazzy Trinkets Jewelry. Sally Smith has a private CPS practice that still allows her privileges at J. Hatch. She has to protect her business. I think she did poorly in the proffer and explains why in front of the jury she
Are we going to do the proffer? We're not doing the proffer.
The question about the investigation, that was the proffer.
Okay.
The proffer's like 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, we can do that.
There's too much to cover in there.
Okay, no, I think that we wanted to do that part. Perfect.
Yep, and we did. Laura Liani gives memberships. Thank you, Lori. Rachel Dueck. Rob, do you have a screaming goat? Use the goat. I think I do. Screaming goat. There we go. Auntie Candy, can Spidey give his analysis of recovery addicts' behavior with the water bug friendly incident? I'll ask him about it once I post that video. Yellow Pill. Thank you. As a woman in healthcare, we are very disrespected and not taken as seriously as men, insulted more often and in a different manner in the Tampa area. Being in a room full of men is making her go into overdrive in her arrogance. That's a possibility. I do see people do that sometimes. Where if you are constantly feel that you've been attacked or you're criticized, you will become more aggressive or defensive.
I always appreciate people trying to play devil's advocate and just even considering, just checking our conclusions. Love that. Thank you.
Yep. Susan Crespi, thank you very much for the gifted memberships. Julie, this woman has damaged so many families. That's one opinion.
I'm sorry. Listen, I may be speaking out of line. Like I was just saying, anyways, I think everyone knows what I was saying. And I'm sorry if she has, there's a possibility that she's this terrible person who's screwed up so many. And if she does, I'm not, obviously not.
You don't have to explain. You don't have to explain.
Yeah,
this is a very complicated case. People have opinions that are strong on one side or the other. I try to
I'm just,
respect and appreciate those.
In my experience, like here's the thing. I've studied interrogation of like hardened criminals, like mass murderers, and I still don't believe that things are always black or white. I think that everything is a shade of gray. My viewers know this, and I'm sorry if sometimes that plays as me defending someone who ought not be defended. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just saying sometimes we look at things from the other side just to consider it, and you might come back and go, nope, no.
I'm always going to defend people. Like I appreciate the fact that people give added perspective.
Yeah,
that was very much appreciated. Yep. DSN, thank you for the gifted memberships. Baby Gator, thank you for the gifted memberships. Nix the Cat, awesome to see you and Spidey on a live stream. I agree. Kadada Smith, the gifted memberships. Thank you. Pants. Spidey, do you have trouble reading the autistic, or is that what baseline is all about? Rob, I have characters left, so thanks again for being real.
Love this question. Anybody who wants to learn a little bit more about how we handle analyzing anyone who's neurodivergent in any way, I did an analysis of Elon Musk a couple of weeks ago, who is neurodivergent, and I talked about that. But you're right. What you said is perfect, Pence. Baselining is huge because, for example, there's a lot of self-soothing gestures with autistic people. Eye contact can be weird. Blink rate can be not weird. I'm sorry, that's a really bad term to use. Can be different or just not what we would expect to see in other interactions. And baselining is huge. Like I said earlier, when we baseline, we don't necessarily know why it's happening, but just to know that with this person, these things happen more often, then we notice when there's a change to that base behavior. So that's correct.
Yep. Leader Randolph, Rob, that's why I
Stimming.
appreciate
Yes, that's the word. Thank you. Sorry, Roberta K. Thank you so much. It's called stimming. So the self-soothing gestures in autistic people, it's called stimming, and it happens quite regularly. And if we see that, we just consider the baseline.
Leader Randolph, thank you. Rob, thanks. That's why I appreciate you covering this case. It's your specialty, and it clearly shows in your analysis. Thank you. Gina Beswick gifted a super sticker on your channel. Rachel Dueck gifts 10 more behavioral arts memberships. Patricia Sutherland gifts $10. Nye Moon says, Spidey, could I send you the designs and where?
Yeah, designs to what? Send that to my Instagram. Spidey.
Oh, to a t-shirt. That was what we were talking about. Caroline Janney.
Rob, I saw that before. I want you to try your best to read that.
Merci, Spidey. J'adore ta personnalité et brillance.
Wow, dude. That was awesome. You didn't say like brilliance or something. You said yeah. It's merci Spidey, j'adore ta personnalité et brillance. Merci à tous les abonnés francophones ou français. J'apprécie votre présence énormément. Je sais que je ne fais pas assez de stream ou de vidéos en français. C'est parmi mes 3 langues maternelles. Ben, pas maternelles, mais de naissance, depuis la naissance. I'm just saying some awful things about you. Mais je vous aime. Merci beaucoup. Je vous aime.
Love it. Love it. Thank you. Thank you, Caroline. Very kind of you. Rachel Dueck, take my money. I wouldn't waste it. I would waste it otherwise. Thank you, Rachel. Amber Hayes, I became a member right before the stream. I love your coverage and your thought process. Spidey, I will give you a follow. You two have great chemistry. I waited all day for this stream. Thank you, Amber. That is very kind of you. It helps that we're actually friends. That's from Quebec on your channel. Love you both. Thank you.
Ooh, that's from Quebec. What up?
Quantum Thug Life 444 on your channel. Beautiful Spidey Rob team. Catherine became a new member on your channel. ML Berg became a new member on your channel. JR on your channel. Love that Rob's friend group is becoming very California, I guess, or Canadian. Yes. I have a lot of Canadian friends. Chris and M96, enjoying seeing you two do a live stream together versus a pre-recorded video. There was nothing else interesting to watch today. Anyways, I love the comment. Inelegant, do you think Sally Smith holds animosity for the hospital because she settled? I didn't perceive she wasn't. I wouldn't say she was aggressive towards the attorney for the hospital. She wasn't. There wasn't animosity. I think it was just creating distance.
Yeah, I'm not them. They're not me.
Yep. Kim Galantini, thank you. I'm behind, but her busy necklace is keeping attention from her face. Also, hair down, she appears softer. The hair down is definitely a choice. That is a choice.
She did appear. That's a great point, Kim. Thank you so much. I missed it. Was in my notes, but sometimes we're talking about stuff and get sidetracked. Her appearance in court was, and we also don't like to talk about appearance in these things, but I think it's fair to say her appearance in court was softer. There was more thought.
Yep. We don't like to talk about it, but it's still a factor people consider. You don't like to talk about it, but you can't really ignore it. Celine, thank you. Everyone in the chat is buzzing about how great you two are together. Such synergy. You both such wonderful role models for men, and I love to see it. That is a tremendous compliment.
It is. It's huge. Thank you. Means the world.
Mischief Manager became a new member of your channel.
No.
Golden Hermit, J Hatch lawyers called her the child a lot too. I think they did, and I think that's intentional. They can't, if the attorneys, I expect to call her the child, because if you personalize her too much, that's a tactic. Bop It gifted 5 memberships. Nicole on your channel says, Spidey, just so you know, I said I love you back to you after Rob so cruelly did not. Ha ha. Love you both. Oh, come on.
Thanks, Nicole.
Spidey, can you
He
talk
says it all
about,
the time. He texts me every night
can
before I
you
go to bed.
talk about for a second what you're covering right now? I need a quick sec. What's
Yeah.
what's going on your channel right now?
What's going on my channel? You need to, okay. Oh, wow. Leave the guy who doesn't stream by himself to stream. Okay, what's going on my channel? We've been talking about Jada Pinkett Smith on her book tour. If you guys are interested, go check that out. There's a pretty exciting moment for me in last week's video where she said something. She talked about a moment at the Oscars with her body language, and she said what she was thinking. And a year ago, I said exactly that in those exact words. And I was pretty proud of that. Some people said that maybe she saw my video, but if she saw any of my videos, she would not want to validate me in any way because I've been quite critical of her. But yeah, that was cool. You guys should check that out. That was fun. Besides that, this is, should I do a magic trick? Grab a deck of cards. Rob, hurry back.
I'm back.
Okay, you're back.
I'm back.
Okay.
I'm back. Dehydration leads to lots of drinking water in the mornings. Patricia Sutherland, thank you very much for the super chat on Spidey's channel. Great. Matt Bond says, gotta say hi, Spiffy Legal Mumbo Jumbo Talkie Brother from another mother, and Spiffy Psycho Mumbo Jumbo Talkie
This guy
Brother.
gave a
from another
lot of
mother
money
here,
to keep saying Spiffy Spiff.
He loves he's afflicted with CRPS and he is close to this case, so he's been very careful. Mischief Manager gives 10 behavioral arts memberships. Nymoon, love you both, but Nymoon is Nemoon. There we go. Nemoon.
Of course it's Nemoon.
I won't forget that. That was on your channel. Equality, one of my favorite chat names.
Equality.
Sad I missed most of this awesome collaboration. I always love you two together. Thank you. Tara Norman, this is a super sticker on your channel, a $50 super sticker gifted to you. So,
wait, what? Sorry, what? Sorry, I was reading a comment.
That's a $50 super chat on your channel.
Okay, listen, stop. Rob, I'm going to make an announcement. There was some people in the chat who said, that they've dealt with CRPS or they're dealing with CRPS. If somebody can just give me the name of, you could do it in the chat here or tell Rob or send it to me on Instagram. Just the name of a charity that specifically caters to CRPS. I'm going to donate 100% of what I make from this stream. That's including all super chats and all memberships for this month. So October, Rob, you'll explain to me how that works. Because like if they donate super chats, do I get that in October or November? I don't know.
It'll come in November.
In November. So I will take 100% of membership fees from all of November, including the ones from this chat, plus all super chats from this stream. I'll show the screenshots. Anything I made from this stream, I will just donate. Somebody give me a good, like a reliable foundation.
We'll find one, and you and I will find one.
And I'm just gonna everything. Tara, thank you. Unbelievable, Tara. Thank you so much for your generosity. I wouldn't feel okay taking that. It goes so beyond that. So I'm just gonna take all of that and just give it. Let's find a charity.
We'll find some good ones. We will. I've got some donating to do too. To a lot of different causes.
Rob and I will come up with something together. We'll give a lot of what's being made from this stream. I'll make sure of it to a charity that deals with that. Rob, find me something. We'll figure it out, and we'll
find you something.
announce.
Don't worry, we got it. I'll find you something. Trust me.
Okay, thanks, buddy.
Nathan C. Rob, love the analysis with Spidey. Will you consider analysis of the case that she was involved with that accused the father's been arrested wrongfully? That I don't have enough testimony to go into any of that. I have a lot to cover. Covering this case right now is taking a lot of my health. So I have to be careful about what I can choose to cover as comprehensively, because when I do, I want to be sure I'm comprehensive. Shireen, reminder to put clocks back in England now. Thank you for the reminder. Cat C Healer on your channel. My opinion, I don't care for overconfidence. I would not take my child to a practice. That's a fair assessment. You can.
That's a fair. I think that's fair. I think overconfidence to the point of arrogance is something you don't want in someone. Like you want them to question their conclusions. So yeah.
Yep. Does Spidey know about other cases? No, he doesn't. Was brand new. I feel like
there's a bit of like that's a bit of a loaded. Like does Spidey even know all the horrible things she's done?
He does not. I told you at the very beginning of this stream, the only things that he knows about this case is what I was able to fill him in on. So, yep. A B C D E F G. By the way, Sally Smith was confronted by the previous victim before the trial. Yep, on her way into the courthouse, which is why I don't read into any too much of her nervousness until she gets settled in. The testimony I end up picking from her is the very beginning intro, and then I wait for about 15 to 20 minutes until she settles into testimony. Chantal on your channel says, just received buzzed. Loving it. Spidey didn't realize you were Canadian. Love you both. Very kind of you. Amy Ikes. Rob, you're the best. Heart everything about you. Thank you. That is very kind, and I appreciate those words very much. Peds RN06. I'm 18 plus year Florida pediatric registered nurse. Registered nurse. Let me try that again. I am an 18 plus year Florida pediatric registered nurse, 14 years in the PICU, Pediatric Intensive Care Unit. I worked with Dr. McIntosh. Sally Smith was not just an investigator. She acted as a member of the treatment team. Interesting. Very curious. I think that the plaintiffs have put forth a lot of evidence to support that contention. Kristen Bean, thank you for becoming a member. Sierra Maid, thank you.
Sorry, what's happening in the chat with Matthew Perry?
No, Spidey, we don't do breaking news. We don't do breaking news. We don't talk about breaking news.
Sorry.
Because it can sidetrack the chat.
Okay, I apologize.
Yep, that's fine. I know that it's because we need to assess that stuff. So chat, kind of calm down for a second. Julie, my comment was factual. The documentary included other families. She hurt innocent parents that paid the price for her single-minded investigations. That's something that I need to look into. I am in this case. I am looking at this particular case right now, and that's where the limitation of my factual knowledge. Rob, ton français est très bien. Je vous aime.
Je vous aime. That's a tough one.
Aime.
Je vous aime.
Oh,
the S carries over to the je vous aime. So, Rob, your French is very good. I love you. Je vous aime.
Thank you. Very kind of you, Caroline. Desiree, new member on your channel. MAE nerd, is there a detailed wrong doing in the Sally Smith settlement? Nope, there is no detail or acknowledgement of wrongdoing. It's a settlement. People settle for various reasons. Dawn Burke, thank you for the gifts of memberships. Yellow Pill, thank you. Spidey was doing Sally Smith that voice deepening thing. Oh, was Sally Smith doing that voice deepening thing?
It's hard to tell. She has the fluctuation in her voice is like goes up when she's like on the attack, and then she goes down into these deeper on the defense. It tends to like close in a little more down here. So I could see why you would say that.
Okay. Equality is a new member on your channel.
Thank you.
Desiree gifts 5 memberships to your channel.
Thank you.
Rachel with 5 more memberships to this channel. Mary Kay, new member here. Nathan on your channel, CRPS Warriors Foundation. Write that down just so I've got it. I'm going to look them up because I want to make sure that what
I trust you more than I trust me. So write this one down and then just do your research. Let's find research. Let's find a good one. And then again, everything I made, super chats, views, even views after the fact, and all new members, it's all going to that.
Callie Adder, $20 super sticker to your channel. S. Wren, this woman's job is to report family. She's arrogant because she can't stand to be wrong. If she admitted she was never wrong, she would have to see that herself as a bad person. That's one take.
Go back. Let me just. She's arrogant because she can't stand to be wrong. If she admitted she was wrong, she would have to see herself as a bad person. That's interesting. So like she'd have to develop this shell. Otherwise, it would be really difficult to do her job. Interesting.
Yeah, that's curious. This is a good suggestion. Chantal Caesar. Ian Runkle, my friend. You know Ian Runkle. Yes, you know Ian Runkle. He has a 24-hour live stream that's a charity live stream that he does for the benefit of the Stollery Children's Hospital.
Wow.
So he's on the stream for 24 hours. I'm donating several of my pens, and last year I think he raised $56,000. So that's a good idea. I like this idea.
I love that. When's that happening?
November 4th. Next weekend.
My birthday.
Really?
Yeah.
Why did I forget that?
This is not something I would expect you to remember.
Well, I'm going to remember it now. Writing Sunstone down so I don't forget, because I forget things all the time. Jonathan Beatty, how many jurors have to agree with the plaintiff? Is it all or nothing? 6 go back, 6 must agree. It's unanimous. It's required to be. So there are 12 that are seated. 6 of them are alternates. It is likely that the designated jurors that are going back to deliberate are already known to the plaintiff and the defendant. The alternates are just there just in case. 6 go back, 6 have to agree. Nick Cressman on your channel. I know it's not specifically CRPS, but how about Runkle's Extra Life Charity? Yep. That's second time. Good suggestion. Matt Bond, until this case, I said I have 2 broken legs. CRPS made me look and feel like a freak and crazy. You know, I don't like those words. You are saying them because that's an expression of how it made you feel. I hope that this case and watching this has helped in some regard, make it at least feel not so alone. So, and to feel heard. Ryan Man YYC, thank you. Spidey's only sort of Canadian. He is from the PQ.
I'm from the PQ, but I'm my first language is English, so I feel like I'm the daywalker. I live in both worlds.
He says he's obligated as an Albertan to throw shade.
I'll take it.
Laura Christensen, extra thank you to the mods who've been dodging bombs in chat all night. They're rock stars.
Thank you
They
so much.
are.
Love
They
you.
are. You guys are wonderful. Okay, we're gonna hide that chat. We're gonna wrap this up because if more come in, we're gonna be here forever.
Yeah.
Thank you, Spidey, for hanging out. Thank you to all of the people for hanging out with me on this channel and on your channel. It was really fun to break this down.
It was amazing. Thank you so much. And Rob, honestly, like I just want to say, as a behavioral analyst who's taught like from day one, we're taught like objective. Don't let bias affect. Don't let conclusions affect your analysis. You've done such a great job. I've watched several videos of yours covering this case, and I think very few people would have been able to cover it with this much, with like a delicate approach, the way that you did, and just lay out the facts and stay completely unaffected by emotion. You honestly, I wouldn't have been able to do it. So you did a great job.
Thank you, Spidey. That's a remarkable compliment. And I'm very, very glad to have you here, a friend and someone I trust, and someone that also is a remarkable expert in this field. So thank you for being here and helping us discuss this stuff. It's really awesome. You haven't seen a new outro, so you know that I make stuff in the shop, right?
Yeah.
So for those of you that are catching this on Spidey's channel, we have a little bit of an outro that I've added to mine, and we're going to go ahead and play that here on our way out. Thank you guys for being here. I will be back live on Monday doing breakdowns of the testimony we hear that particular day. Spidey usually has videos rolling out on Saturdays. So keep an eye out. If you have not yet subscribed to him, get him over 1 million. It would be awesome to see. Until next time, good night, everyone. Good day, good evening, good afternoon, good night. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.